Welcome back to Adobe Live.
It's day 3, the final day.
It's the final countdown.
We made it.
Amy's wearing a lot of fringe.
I figured for the last day, go extra.
Celebratory fringe, I agree.
I like your earrings, they are also very extra.
Thank you, very extra today. Adobe Live, this is where we design live, as the name implies, using Adobe products. Adobe products have changed my world, your world. They are the reason we can do everything we do. We're so grateful to be on.
It's amazing.
We are Chutzpah Design. I'm Jen, this is Amy.
Hello.
We are sisters, we are twins, we are freaks, we are weirdos.
We are Chutzpah Design.
We are literal mutants, apparently. That's the science answer for twins, mutants of DNA. So, looking at it. We're super stoked. Today we're going to be working on Eternova. It's a cremation diamond company, so they turn the ashes of your loved ones into diamonds. It's incredible. When I first heard about it, I had never heard of this before. And they're our real client that we're working with, and because it's such a new industry and no one's really heard of this before, or not many people, that's why it's so important to get this brand identity and visual identity right, because we have to build trust, we have to build familiarity, we have to make people feel comfortable to send their ashes of their loved ones to a company to turn it into a diamond. So now I think this project more than ever is going to be interesting because the stakes are high.
Stakes are high.
Yeah.
And shout out to the chat, everyone who's joined us live. This is so fun.
Hi.
Roman Warren said, Jen, can you please remember not to show your phone number again?
Oh my
Jen
gosh,
kept
every
showing
day.
our proof decks with all of her personal information.
Maybe subconsciously I'm lonely and
She
I
wants
just
you to
want you
text
to,
her.
to text me and say you up later,
wants
you
you
know?
to
I
text
don't
her.
know. But
And shout out to David Marks in the chat. Also, I was pronouncing Jan's name Jan yesterday. Apparently Jan's a big deal.
he's a very
Jan,
big deal here.
We were the last to know, but everyone
We'd like
else
to
knew.
apologize.
Everyone else already knew.
Yes.
Shout out to Ivan Delgado. Where's everyone from?
Hey, Titus Smith.
We're from Anaheim Hills, the
Hey,
lesser
Sarah
known
Stewart.
hills. We're in California. Right now we're in San Francisco, but get in the chat. Tell us where you're from. It's a worldwide audience. It's pretty awesome.
Yes.
Yes.
So yeah, we'll recap what we did the last 2 days. Pretty much the last 2 days we've been working on the logo. We worked on the brand discovery, we worked on the proposal, which was how we landed the client. We then did the discovery where we researched about the client and got them on the same page with us. So if you're interested in that process, go to day 1 and day 2.
You can find those videos in the replay tab.
Yes. And so, in fact, I'll just open up really quickly
We've got people
where
from
we left off.
Iowa. Wow, Iowa is far. Germany, the Bronx, New Jersey, Miami, Oklahoma City, Chris Crockett, what's up? Columbus, Ohio, Texas, Montreal. Ooh, I want to go to Montreal so bad.
Wow.
Jen, you can test those French 4 skills from senior year of high school.
They're all gone.
You
I've
forgot
replaced
everything?
it all with a lot of useless knowledge.
I've replaced it all with memorizing every Forensic Files episode ever. Useless information. But yeah, should we take a look at the schedule?
Yeah.
All right,
Let's do that.
So this week, before us, you caught Andrew Hockrattle, who is amazing. Before that was Kathleen Martin. She was teaching you all the Photoshop skills you need. If you wanted to do the creative challenges from yesterday and the day before, take a peek at her video. It's all on YouTube. Right now you're watching us, Chutzpah Design, and then after us is Christina Cox, Australia's just favorite child.
Yeah.
I love her. She's so funny.
A gem from down under.
She is.
Yes.
And she's making adorable postcard illustrations. Andrew Hockrattle blew my mind
Oh my
last
gosh.
episode.
I'm gonna just favorite that page and just be going back to it.
I'm not
constantly.
kidding. Andrew, I'm gonna make my own title cards. I'm gonna try all your tricks and tips, and I'm gonna post something on Instagram.
Yeah.
We'll see if it's half as good.
So today we're doing the portfolio review. So submit your portfolio for a chance because we're gonna look through them. We're gonna get 2 portfolios chosen at random for us to review. Yesterday, we reviewed the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge submissions, which was really exciting and fun. We did the same thing on day 1. That was a blast. And those daily creative challenges are so important because we've definitely done that of our own volition, just when we weren't getting the kind of work we wanted or when we had free time, when we were early on in our career. Every spare moment we had, we spent doing just practice,
Yeah.
making our own briefs. So
if you don't have a client project that's paying you, make some work. Make your
Yes.
own work. You should always be designing, and if someone's not paying you to do it, you got to be honing those skills in.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying design 24/7. I'm just saying if you've got an 8-hour day that you're supposed to be working and you're only spending 1 hour, you got some free time. You got some
Exactly.
free time to work on your skills. Shout out to Denise Hernandez. She says watching from Pasadena. We got a fellow SoCal lady in the house. I like it.
Hey.
So, okay, let's recap on your screen. Let's see what we've made so far. And do we get to do the grand reveal today?
Yes.
Nice.
So I sent this yesterday. We went through some more concepts. We were revising stuff that we worked on in day one. And so after we went off air, I kept refining things, worked with Amy on a few new concepts, and we sent it to the client. So this is the final proof that we wound up with. As usual, when we send proof decks to our clients for these logos, we like to recap with them what we went through in the research discovery so that they're never forgetting what the whole goal is and what we've all agreed to as far as...
And it's super easy to forget. It's super easy to, like, you haven't talked to each other in a week. Maybe you saw a bunch of cool stuff that you thought was interesting on Pinterest, and now you want to change the whole thing up.
Oh, that happens
easy.
all the time.
It happens
They're
so
like, hey,
often.
I saw this cool bus ad while I was on the, and now I think we should go in a completely new direction. It's like, no, it's easy to like be afraid that you're going to miss out. So you have to kind of keep your client excited about the direction that you've both chosen.
Yeah,
So,
and saying, like, do you want to be like everybody else, or do you want to carve a new path for you?
yeah.
I think that's key.
Exactly. So we're reminding the client here of what we all agreed on, and then we're going into I like to also do a round one recap so they remember, okay, this is what we had last time. Now we're going to go into the new options.
Looks so good.
This was one of the revised options we wound up with, and then we show all the various, orientations that people could use or that the client could use. Because we like to give them a set, It's like if they just have one logo, I feel like it can just feel a little bit limiting, especially with the versatility of where you use a logo on your website, on your, signage on your shop, on the vertical banners. So, yeah. Beck Nelson says she loves your hat.
Beck, thank you so much. It's actually not mine, it's Jen's.
I'd like to hear from the chat. Does anyone ever feel confident about wearing a hat? I just go in blindly knowing that if you wear a hat, you look like you know what you're doing.
You look like a confident person, even if you're not.
But none of us really know if it looks right. Am I right?
You have to wear it with gusto. That's
You
the
do.
ticket. If
You
you wear it
just-
with gusto, you've done it right.
Yes. Then we showed them the colors, some sample kind of like type lockups so that they can see
Love
what we're
that.
thinking for typography. And again, these collages, they're not mine. I'm using these as kind of a reference image for the client so that they can see down the road we want to take, kind of some memory collages of people's belongings who've been turned into these cremation diamonds. And this photo is just a reference. It's from an amazing designer named Carl Hebert at Gold Lunchbox on Instagram, and he collects
it.
all these things and puts them on his Instagram, and it's amazing. So this was the proof we sent. This one we worked on yesterday, if you watched, and we kind of like finally figured it out. The end still needs a little help there.
But still, we've got the infinity
yeah.
symbol turning into the setting sun. A lot of symbolism, a lot of cool aspects.
Reverb Mike wants to let us know that he was once paid to wear a beret. How are
can
you
we
finding these gigs?
I'd like to know the backstory on that.
I know.
Sounds like a good story.
I want to do what you do. That's a great idea. So yeah.
Kyle Chicoine says, used to wear hats but don't anymore. Want to keep my hair? I remember when I was in middle school, someone told me I wore my hair up every day in a ponytail because I was like insecure about my hair. And then someone told me, if you wear your hair up every day, you're going to get a bald spot. And I wore it down. I've never worn it up since then.
Yeah.
Look at all my photos.
Okay.
Ooh, I like this
This one was one that I just threw in because sometimes when the client gives me changes on a logo, I see what they're telling me, but then I actually infer more about what I think they really want.
Right, what they meant. Maybe.
Exactly, because sometimes I think they're trying to give you exact directions because they want to be helpful, but really I'm trying to intuit, I see what they're really thinking is missing here. And so I gave them a completely new option, but I think this kind of looks a little too Jetsons-y, like a little too Space Cadet.
Right.
Like, maybe it could be used for like Tesla's next space launch of a car. Yeah.
Elon Musk, get at us.
So yeah, that's another one. And then option D was this one, which I finally figured out how to mirror this mouthpiece. If you see,
We had
if
some
you
trouble
want
in
to
the
see
chat, yes.
designers fail, just watch our second video. Like, sometimes I just forget what I'm doing. It's weird. The pressure of all you watching. I want to impress you. I want you to approve. I want you to put my art on your fridge like my mom.
Mom never did it.
Okay, so those were the finals, and in the end, I want to show you what they picked. It's all very exciting.
Looks so good though, Jen. Looks amazing.
So in the end, they chose. Let's see if I can find it. They chose this. So we kind of modified it a little bit. They really wanted an infinity, but they really loved this mark from the beginning.
Right.
So we added it as the end, almost like, I was like, we put trademarks and registered little circle R's at the end of our marks all the time. Like, it'd be kind of cool to make our mark, you know, which we'll also add probably a register and a TM eventually, but our mark is the infinity, you know? And instead of being a period at the end of the sentence, it is something that says, this goes on, you know?
Right, instead of the end of a sentence,
Yeah.
it's like, that's really cool.
So
Jen.
that's the final, and then they have all their variations.
Also, Doc Reed said, first of all, shout out to Doc Reed.
Yes.
He said, got 2 of your art pieces up in the house. We made the fridge.
Sarah Lamprecht asked, did they use the 2 revisions? Yes, I went back with them and did another round. So it's been kind of a whirlwind. But this is what they ended up with. We kind of like narrowed in on, usually the second round of revisions is much more,
It's smaller changes, right?
It is.
Yeah, you've already made the big kind of direction changes, and now it's just like tweaking little things.
yeah, totally. Okay. So, that's the final. So that's exciting. We have that. So today we were thinking we would work on, so I'm going to go to the client website so you kind of see what we're working with. But Eternova, which you should really check this site out. What they're doing is so incredible, I think. And you know, the one of the co-founders, Adele Archer, has been featured on Inc.'s 30 Under 30 list. They were
Nice.
interviewed by Fast Company. The Kardashians
big.
are like really, they are going to be turned into diamonds when they're cremated.
will.
It is. Like one of them is, or I think, but you should read their press page. There's a lot. But you can get cremation diamonds for loved ones or for pets. But what we're working on today is, so the interesting thing about their company is that this is not a storefront. This is not something that people are familiar with. So that's very scary. And when someone finally takes the step to say, I'm interested in this, I want to learn more, that first interaction is so key. So they've actually put a ton of work into a really incredible welcome kit, which I will actually text message myself these photos so you can see them. But pretty much, you remember the box? You want to describe it?
They send you this welcome box, and it comes with like little vials that include like example diamond sizes, so you can see what size the diamonds will be. And then it comes with a little mini like
Video player.
tablet that plays a video from your salesperson to you, just saying, hi, hello, like this is the process, this is how it'll work, and then
It's a
there's video.
custom-made video.
It's amazing, and it just autoplays when you open the box. It's so cool.
And they've made the video after they've already asked the client on the phone, the potential client on the phone, about the loved one who's going to be turned into this cremation diamond. So they customize the video about that person. They explain the process. It's really cool. So, sorry, my phone's being weird. I will find it anyway.
We can find it later.
But so today we're going to be working on packaging. I'll show you the example of their packaging now in just a minute. But Ames is going to be working on an illustration set for them too, because that's another thing, is like building trust with the people behind the company.
Right, so we thought it'd be fun. In our mood board, we actually presented to them, and let me pull it up. So I've got the mood board on my screen. Oh, that's it. Yeah, that's it. And we had actually presented to them doing some sort of like watercolor illustration for maybe it's like an end of the project, like somebody's ordered a diamond, the diamond is coming to them, but maybe taking a picture of their loved one and turning it into a watercolor illustration. They thought that would be a really cool way to just cap off the project with a really nice special memento.
And they like to do that throughout the process to keep these people who are kind of going through a hard time thinking about the positive aspects of their loved ones. So they'll send them surprise gifts all the way, because it's kind of a
is
long,
so cool.
It's a long process. I think
Right.
it takes about 2 months all in all. And so while they're waiting, Eternova is sending them these surprise mementos, which is really a cool idea. So
Yeah. It's very Apple in that it's like very dedicated to the experience with the user and making sure they have an amazing experience. So they wanted us to do these watercolor illustrations, and we were thinking it would be awesome to do these watercolor style illustrations for their about page for their photos for the 2 founders. So bringing illustration into kind of the brand experience is what we're going to do today. This is some of the inspiration that they sent over that they liked. It's kind of it's playful, it's kind of wobbly, it's not perfect. It's very much like us as humans, right? It's got flaws. It's awesome. So that's kind of what we're working with. And so what I did was I went to the Eternova page and I went to their about page and I just dragged their photos off and I brought them here into my Adobe Illustrator document. So here is one of the founders, Garrett Oscar, and this is the other one. And basically I'm just gonna lock this layer. I'm gonna clipping mask it, and just so that I can just see Garrett, and we're gonna turn him into watercolor illustrations. Illustrations are so fun. I know, Paul Alvarez says, yay, illustrations.
Yay!
Same. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clipping mask it so it's just his photo, and then I'm gonna go into my layers and I'm gonna put him on the bottom layer and I'm gonna lock him. Command 2. And then I already did this illustration of Garrett, so you can kind of see how I work. Look how scary it is. He looks like a demon cherub baby. What? It's like, I don't know why. It's just so funny. But this is kind of my process. So I'll go in and I'll just start making shapes. And I'm just using a basic charcoal brush that's included at standard in the presets of Adobe Illustrator. There's a bunch of awesome brushes you can buy from like Retro Supply Co. and Kyle T. Webster, but I'm just using the standard one. And I'm just kind of taking my pen tool. I prefer to use the pen tool because it's more accurate to start. And I'm just making these key shapes and highlighting these key portions on his face. And then I usually like to just trace over it. And then what I'll do is I'll just kind of option drag as I go to see how things are going. And I'll just drag it to the side and see, how are we doing? And you can say, hey, kind of looks like him. That's awesome.
It totally does, yeah.
And then by the end of it, once I've kind of filled it all in, we've got this, which looks really cool. And it's kind of fun because
wait, really quick, Hector Lira wants to say that Demon Cherub Baby is my everyday look, to be honest.
That's hilarious. Actually, it sounds like an amazing metal band, doesn't it?
That's awesome.
Love it. But yeah, so we've got this cool illustration now of Garrett. And I feel like, doesn't it feel kind of more warm and inviting than maybe just a standard picture?
Yeah, I think so.
You know,
and especially sometimes our clients will come to us and they don't yet have a budget for professional portraits.
Photography.
Or they just can't really justify it with the scope that they're already spending with us. And so we like to offer it as an option to still give a face to the company, but maybe, and it still elevates the look. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, so that's how I'm doing it. So let's do Adele Archer now. Let's do her illustration. I'm gonna unlock this. So basically first I'm just gonna drag down a photo of her, option drag, and then I'm going to clipping mask to just have this photo of her because for some reason they have their photo kind of together. Gonna delete that. And I like to work off to the side, and I usually try to work about the same size that it's gonna be in the end, just so that all the strokes and everything, I can preview it the way it's actually gonna look. So then I'm going to, she's on the bottom layer, so I'm just gonna lock that layer over here in the layer panel. And then grab my pen tool, and I'm just gonna start going for it.
And it's crazy, like you really don't have to know how to draw to do this style of illustration. You just have to have a good reference photo.
And just be killer at the pen tool.
Yeah, and just make shapes.
Or grab the pencil tool, like if you wanna do something that's a little bit easier.
Yeah,
if you're
Ryan Mardone wants to know how long it took you to do the illustration of Garrett.
I did it last night when we were in the hotel room. What do you think, like an hour?
I think it was like an hour and a half.
Hour and a half? Yeah.
But Ames is real quick. Like she's just like.
Once you get used to the pen tool, you become just. I'm a kung fu master at the pen tool.
She is, yeah.
I'm pretty proud.
Jennifer Piatowski wants to know, do you prefer to work in Illustrator or Photoshop for your illustration work?
I have always liked Illustrator. Yeah. And I don't know if it's because before with Photoshop there was like a million layers and that stresses me out. Now you can click the layers so it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
But I just way prefer Illustrator. I like that it's vector. I can scale it up huge if I want to. To me, those are all things that I like.
Yeah, same.
Here's a fun tip on...
I see on Photoshop the kind of texture you can get, which is so next level. So for
like
certain styles, it's like you could only do that on Photoshop.
Totally.
But definitely
sometimes I'll take my vector illustration into Photoshop and just do some of that afterwards. After I've kind of done this.
That way you still have that like infinitely scalable original, and then you can just add the textures on top. It's always like my worst fear that I'll make the original illustration at too small of a scale.
Yeah.
And then when I need to make it, people are like, just make it big from the beginning, but then it's like a giant file.
Right.
This is my conundrum.
And it's like takes forever, and your fan on your computer starts like freaking out.
Yeah. Kate Gilman says, props that you're using the trackpad to do this as well.
I know. What was I thinking? I can't believe I forgot a mouse today.
Every day. This is our problem. We're just like on hyperdrive all the time, not thinking about the next moment.
But
Mary Moffat says, try Astute Graphics plugins for AI.
Yeah.
We actually use those.
I have those on my iMac, actually, and I need to take some tutorials and like really figure out how to use them like to their best because I just bought them. Dave Clayton is a friend of ours, and he's over there at Astute, and they're just amazing.
Yeah.
And I've started using the dynamic sketch tool, but I really need to take some tutorials to really figure out how to best use them.
Yeah. Ryan Ford wants to know if you've ever used an Adobe mobile app to illustrate.
No. Wait, how would you do that, Ryan Ford? Hop in the chat. Let us
Explain to us. But then again, like when I'm on the go, usually that's my one excuse not to be on my phone or doing anything.
Right.
It's like I love being at the DMV because I can be like, I really wish I could work on your stuff. I'm just stuck here for hours.
Sorry, client.
It's like my me time, DMV time.
DMV time is me time. DMV should use that as a new campaign.
Eric
Oh my
Sue, don't
gosh.
worry. We're going to refine these brows. We're going to trim them a little. But you'll be surprised.
Actually,
You can't be too critical about your illustration when you're starting. You just keep going, just like blaze through, and then at the end you can kind of like refine and see where you can make a little bit more of interpretation so that it looks a little bit closer to what you want.
For sure. But
Yeah.
also, as far as eyebrows go, I swear by this method, and you'll see once I drag it out. Usually I'll just start doing it all at first. I don't even worry about color. I don't worry about really any of that until I start like dragging it off. So it always looks super scary at first.
Right.
Poor Adele, she looks.
But that's the thing. You just have to keep going. So
you have to keep going.
Eric Sue said, how can I draw like Amy one day? Literally just watch her. She's just making shapes and lines. So as long as you have a reference image or a few reference images so that you're not, like we will get permission to use these reference images to make sure that like, it's okay.
And-
but you can get into trouble if you're using, licensed images that you don't have rights to and it looks too close to that image reference. So you have to be kind of careful, but there's a great tutorial by Amir Ayuni of Forefather Group on Retro Supply Co. about how he does all of his vector illustrations. And it's the same thing. He says he's an awful illustrator, but when it comes to making vector illustrations, it's just shapes. So,
And the thing is, I think a lot of times, what I had to learn early on was that I always start out with so much detail, but then half of it is learning what to take out so that you're not showing every wrinkle, you're not showing every hair, because that's when things start to look kind of scary or kind of weird.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of it is just figuring out what to keep and what not to keep, like what details are important,
Yeah.
So the more practice you give yourself, the more projects you give yourself, the more you'll start to realize that.
Yeah.
And also following other designers who are really good at it and just kind of studying the game footage. I follow people like one girl's name is Vander Yacht on Instagram, and she has a completely different style to mine, and it's much simpler. And so I'm following people who do really simple illustration because I have the problem of just being way too maximalist.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise. And I think that's really helpful to just kind of study the masters. That's what all the artists used to do back in the day. Jacques-Louis David had all the people that he studied. He was studying the classics when they were doing the Renaissance,
Totally.
So there's no shame in studying the masters.
Madeline Smith was referencing, so we recently did 10 by 18. It's where you pretty much reimagine the covers of your favorite albums of the year. You can see it at 10by18.co, and it's run by Eric Mortensen, Skinny Ships, and a few other new people have joined in. But they invite a bunch of illustrators to reimagine their favorite covers. And some of the covers you did were really detailed illustrations. She wanted to know if you used any different technique for those. Like, do you do a detailed sketch that you then scan in to then use as a reference?
I always start with a sketch, unless I'm doing a portrait like this where it's like I kind of just know what I have to do. I always do a sketch because if you just hop into Illustrator like willy-nilly, blind with no direction in mind, you're going to be in there for like 4 or 5 hours and you're going to be super frustrated by the time you're done. So I think it's really important to sketch super rough, and Andrew Hochradel quoted DKNG yesterday, and he said sketch small, and that helps you just get your ideas out and not get too worried about the sketch being perfect.
Totally true.
And I think that's super important. So I'll always sketch first, sketch my ideas out, especially if it's lettering. I always sketch super rough first.
Yeah.
And just get it on paper.
Beck Nelson is wondering, would image trace and expand work on something like this to make it a vector image? It would, but in my mind, like I always can tell immediately when an image has just been like live traced, and usually because like these images specifically, they don't have a super high contrast, so I feel like you might lose a lot, and it just gives you kind of a different look. But it's really all preference, right? You could obviously start that way if you wanted, just to kind of get a better feel for the lights and darks and the shadows, if that's helpful. But I always like to go in and clean it up because it almost gives too much detail when
Right.
you vector trace something, you know?
And I feel like it takes a lot of the fun out. Like the fun is like figuring out what to keep, figuring out how to make it your own style. If you illustrated something yourself with like pen and ink, and then you're just kind of live tracing that's like one thing. But for me, I like to figure out my own spin on this person.
Yeah. Kyle Chicoine has a great tip. Adobe Capture, you could ink over a photo on tracing paper and use the app to get a quick and dirty vector illustration of your subject and sync it into your library. So Adobe Capture has been very popular in the chats recently.
Nice.
I don't know why, but it's like I get used to certain things and I just like to do. I'll just take a picture with my phone of a sketch and then text it to myself.
That's what I do. That's my
Text
scanner.
it to myself.
I know.
Drag it
I'm like,
in.
why did I buy this scanner, this expensive printer? I never use it.
The printer that sits dying alone in the corner.
Oh my
like, does
gosh.
anyone print it?
And then when you actually need it to work, it doesn't work. It's like,
I mean, print at home. Like everything I print through like a screen printer or like,
Right.
I'll even go to like a digital printer. But I feel like the minute I print it at home, it feels like food I made for myself. I no
Right.
longer want it. Like I want someone to cook for me.
Right.
I want someone to print for me and cook for me.
so on this illustration, what I'm doing is, you'll see that I've got like the key, what I started it with first, and usually I always try to do is start with these key expression lines of, the nose, the bottom of the nose, the edge of the eyes, the eyebrows, like the key things that are gonna make the face. And then I start to look for, okay, where are the highlights and where are the shadows? So you can see right here, I see this highlight in her nose, and I can see this, I'm gonna get my regular pencil tool because it's kind of quick. I see this highlight on her cheek that I wanna do. And then over here, I wanna do a different color highlight on this side. So I'm also just gonna kind of quickly draw in that. And I'm just finding the little pieces of her face in shapes. It's just shapes. It's so cool. And then what I did up here was I realized when I was doing Garrett's illustration, I didn't like these big color blocks. I thought they looked too much, like I said, like a demon cherub baby. I don't know. That's just what was coming to mind. So instead of doing that, I was like, I want it to look a little bit more refined. I feel like that was too playful. And so I thought, okay, let's do some hatching. Let's do some line for our line work.
Also, Ryan Kulik is in the chat. Remember from high
Ryan
school?
Kulik from high school.
Yeah. Or sorry, oops, I said it wrong. But Ryan Kulik. Hey, he was in I think your art class.
He was in
right?
my art class.
But he said Mr. Delaney would be proud. Oh, thanks, Ryan.
If only all I wanted to do was impress Mr. Delaney. He was
I
so
know.
awesome. Gosh, where would I be without my art teachers? Honestly, I was like, I didn't even know you could do art as a career until like Mr. Delaney. He was like,
Yeah.
you're good, right? I was like, what? Am I? It's amazing what supportive people in your life can do for you. Find those supportive people and hold on. So I'm just making these lines. And it's gonna look weird at first. Like if you stopped now and just looked at it, you'd be like, oh, this is the worst. Like I'm just gonna ditch this and start something else.
So you're kind of doing like your own handmade like etch lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Almost like
Exactly
an
it.
old etching.
So I'm gonna do over here. And sometimes I'll just create that shape just so I have somewhere to start with. And then I'm just going in.
So you prefer to just do your own lines instead of like
I do, 'cause
option, like, duplicating and stuff like that?
Yeah, I feel like it's a bit more organic. Like, and what I'm going for is organic. Remember, our inspiration was super kind of warbly and it wasn't perfect.
Right.
And us as people aren't perfect. And I feel like that reflects the brand of Eternova, which is celebrating people. Like they were difficult, but they were like the life of the party.
Right.
You're
the quirks as well as like
you're celebrating the facets. It's not supposed to be a perfect, monoline, complete replica of their face. You know.
Totally.
All right, so we've got this. All right, so let's see where we're going with this. Let's see how this is looking. So I'm gonna just go ahead and delete this, and I'm gonna drag over my other one, and let's see what we've got. We're getting there.
Yeah.
It's looking good. And then I like to do, like, some people would do all the outlines in dark blue, maybe. But I like to say, okay, what are the key outlines that are important? It would
Like
be-
highlight the structure of a face.
Right. Instead of highlighting the negative things, like maybe, or not even negative things, but like the things that are like just
They're subtle. They
subtle.
don't need to be
They're
highlighted
subtle.
like
You
the
don't
smile
need-
lines.
Yeah, the smile lines. I'm gonna make those a flesh color, a darker color of the flesh color, and I'm gonna make like these details of the bottom of her nose and her eyelashes. Those are gonna be darker.
Yeah.
And since she has brown hair, I'm gonna make these darker as well. I'm gonna go to the blue for that.
Also, what brushes are you using right now? Are they the default brushes?
They're just the default Illustrator brushes.
But we also, someone mentioned Retro Supply. They have great brushes.
Yeah.
They do. And I have their dry brush. I think it's like, anyways, they have a ton of great packs. And
Yeah.
really any of them give you really great range. So Ames, when you see a bunch of the same brush in a row, kind of like you have on her upper forehead, does that ever bother you that you can tell it's the same brush profile over and over
Yeah,
again?
sometimes I'll use two different ones, or I'll just use a taper tool, like the taper tool up here, instead of just a uniform brush. I'll just taper it to make it a little bit different.
Like I didn't know that for a while that you could use a brush tool and use the taper, or change the profile of the brush.
Also, another trick I like to use is it makes me crazy if I see like an illustration that doesn't have matching strokes. Weights, that makes me crazy. So I'll usually pick like 2 to 3 stroke weights or just one and then stick with that. So I'm gonna go check what I did on Garrett's. I did 0.2 and I think I did a smaller one, which was, where will I find that? I did 0.2 and then something smaller if I can find it. Anyway, looks like 0.2 and 0.25.
Bye, Chris Cannon. He's checking out. Christy Stevens also mentioned True Grit Texture Supply. True Grit
Oh yeah, they're
Texture
on
Supply.
Creative Market.
They're amazing as well. It's Andrew is it Faircloth or
think it's Faircloth.
Fairchild? Faircloth, yeah. His vector, or his, they're vector textures and brushes and stuff, and they're incredible. So yeah. Uh-oh, it's happening. It's happening.
Chat and win?
Chat and win.
Oh
Okay, so get ready.
gosh.
As soon as the chat and win little intro stops, you're going to be chatting whatever you can. We're going to ask you a question, but chat in the message area. You could win this amazing Moo notebook. It's incredible.
So nice. It's got a mixture of lined pages with a couple blank pink, millennial pink pages. It's hardcover. It's got this like nice linen feel cover.
Yeah.
And this cool little ribbon. So, okay, what's our chat question?
Okay, so chat question is, if you go home and do an illustration, or if you're home doing an illustration now, who or what is it going to be of?
What are you gonna illustrate? All right, you got a minute. Blow up that chat.
All right, everyone, jump in the chat. Tell us what you're going to make your illustration of using this new technique if you want to. It could be anything, but just chat, because that's how you enter to win this amazing Moo notebook.
So nice.
And this is what you can use now to sketch all of your hopes, dreams.
Ooh, a lot of people are saying my dog or my cat. My children, my husband. That's nice.
Yes. my thumb, my dog, my plants. Plants are so in right now.
Plants are super in.
Oh my gosh, I think everyone's trading in
Wiener
babies for
dog?
plants.
Ooh, Valentine's Day card? Love that. I want to make a little Valentine's Day card. That would be a fun, just like self project. Just make a Valentine's Day card
For
to share on
yourself.
Instagram.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. French girls, new tattoo, my dog, DJ Premier. Interesting.
Cool.
Very specific.
Wiener dog.
Fish, mountains, glasses, my mom, dogs. Mom's gonna love it.
Dogs
Coffee
are
cups.
kind of winning. I
Nick
think dogs are at the
Cage.
top. Nick Cage.
Nick Cage.
Please do.
But from what movie?
Nick Cage
vote
in what movie?
Face Off.
Face
Or
Off.
Memphis Rain from Gone in 60 Seconds.
It's always going to be Raising Arizona. Always.
Raising Arizona.
Yes.
You know, I did not like him in Moonstruck. Disturbing. Aggressive. If somebody was that aggressive after me, no thank you.
All right, is everyone chatting?
Fish.
It's almost done. Who's gonna win?
Bortles.
Who's gonna
Bortles?
win this lovely Moo notebook?
My grandkids, Post Malone. I want to see that.
His
Tag
haircut
me.
has done wonders.
You know what?
I really like it.
Yeah, I like Post Malone. Bagels, me too. Bagels, yep. Pizza, yes. Ooh, I love it. Cats, a lot of cats, digging it. Raising Arizona, somebody else agrees with you. National Treasure. I think I'm the only person who didn't like that movie.
We have a winner. Simon Shakespeare. Amazing name.
That's
oh my
such a
gosh.
good name.
So congratulations, you won this Moo notebook. If anybody else wants a notebook, you gotta buy it yourself, sorry. Or enter chat and win next time.
And there's a discount code.
Yeah.
I think Tim Most will put it.
Cool.
Awesome. Thanks, Moo. Also, Jen, your glasses are reflecting a slight green, and it's from the green screen. It's so cool.
Every once in a while, I just disappear a little. I wanted to bring a green blanket and just use it as a cloak of invisibility every once in a while, but yeah. Anyways, hey, Ryan Martin. He says, "Hi, sisters." Yes, congrats to Shakespeare, who has risen from the dead to collect his Moo notebook.
All right, so I'm gonna fill this face in so it's not so scary.
So if you just joined us, we're working on illustrations for a part of a visual identity that we're doing for a real client that we're working with called Eternova. They turn cremation ashes into diamonds. So instead of having someone in an urn on your mantle, you can remember a loved one, be it a pet or a person, by turning them into a piece of jewelry that you then keep close to you. It's a really interesting new idea. I don't think a lot of companies are doing it. I think there's maybe 4 other companies besides them, and they're really trying to change the narrative and how we perceive death, turning it more into a celebration of life. So it's going to be really, really exciting. We worked on the logo and some other type and color elements yesterday and the day before. So if you want to watch those recaps, check it out on Behance. The replays tab. You'll find it. And then if you want to see what Amy's up to, Amy, zoom out real quick.
Sure.
So you can, and compare it to the one you did. Because right now, if you're tuning in, you're wondering what's happening.
This just goes to show you have to keep going.
Exactly. Don't judge yourself too harshly when it's only half baked.
Oh.
You gotta let it keep
You
rising.
gotta let it go.
But show the one of Garrett as a comparison for anyone who might be joining it.
Sure.
So what we're going for is a look like this, which Amy
This is
already
what'll
did
end
yesterday.
up like. Yeah.
Yeah. Alexander Daly says it's been around for a while, Death Diamonds. Yes, they have been around. I had just never heard of them, and I don't think anyone's really popularized that market. So I think you're right that there's someone there, but they aren't really, marketing it as much so that people know about it, I guess.
Also, pro tip for teeth. Sometimes it's hard to know which details to keep and which to leave. Teeth are one of those things that you have to keep simple. Keep it simple, stupid. Kiss. Think about that for teeth. Although kissing teeth, like when you clank your teeth.
That's when you know it's over. You're
But
like,
in this case,
the fire has died.
In this case, the less detail, the better. So I'm just gonna do the outline of the teeth. I'm not actually gonna do. I've just got my pen tool.
Yeah, I think with the lines, adding the lines is where you can get into trouble.
Yeah, that's when it's a little too detailed, and it just starts to look a little bit scary, I usually just default to like the less detail, the better. Just get the white outline, and that's plenty.
Yeah. And then Paul Alvarez III wonders, is that a final illustration that you're going to do in Illustrator, or are you going to bring it into Photoshop for watercolor treatment or some sort of effects later?
I'm not going to do anything in Photoshop on this one because I've already kind of got, if anything, it would just be for like maybe a watercolor style background, or maybe little textures. Maybe I'll get Andrew Hockrattle to help me figure out how to do some watercolor type textures.
There you go.
But there's so many things in Illustrator that you can use to give texture too. So I always just default to that. Yeah.
Jenny Familicano, she's from Orange County. She's just finished the Cooper Type West type school, like boot camp. So she's a friend. She's hanging out in here. Hey, Jenny.
I love
Kyle
that.
Chicoine says, I can never draw hands or feet. They're super hard.
It is really
Even
hard.
after illustrating our whole entire lives, hands still get me. I still need reference images every single time.
Yeah, that's one of those things that
Yeah.
would be great to practice. I know Jeanette Liaw, I follow her on Instagram. She's an amazing illustrator. She does murals, she does branding, she does everything. And she is a big proponent of just practicing drawing things so that eventually you can draw them from memory.
Yeah.
But you just have to draw a million different hands, and then eventually you'll understand how it works.
Right.
And you guys should definitely follow her. She's awesome.
Nathan Gregory, hey again. He wants to know if you're choosing these colors to match the brand design, or are these the default good colors to use for this type of thing. So this is definitely that really vivid blue is one of the final colors we agreed to with a client, and then we kind of agreed on this kind of like almost lavender light purple color as well. We're still working with them on building out the full palette, but these are two that we could agree on for now, so that's what we're using to build out the illustration. Yeah.
And another fun tip that I like to do, if I'm doing like a really detailed illustration, there's all this stuff going on and I'm trying to figure out what to drag over, I'll always select all the new things that I just drew. So I just drew all these things. I'm gonna select them all, and then I'm gonna select the big piece that I can match them up to, and then I option drag it all, and then I just match it up like that, because I'm kind of building as I go to see if it's working, to see what's working and what's not.
I always do like a command copy in front, and then I just shift right to like a
Oh,
few,
to a
and I'll
certain
always
amount?
shift right,
Yeah.
like 3, shift right, 3,
Right, right,
so
right.
I know that it's always going
That's
to
a
be
good call
exactly
too.
aligned.
I like
Yeah.
that. That's a good call too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's what we got here. I'm gonna do.
Gail Gezzi says, I love watching this. Thanks for pulling me away from the news cycle.
Gail Gezzi, we worked with her
It's
on
easy
the
to
Mavericks.
get sucked in, right?
The Mavericks. It was like a little mini brand to celebrate their
Yes, I remember.
40th.
Hey,
I think it
Gail.
was 40th, yeah. But she was.
That was
blast to
fun.
work
We
with.
got to design like a custom little cigar wrap. Mm-hmm. Dang. If someone ever asks you to do something you've never done before, if you know the principles of design and you know generally how to apply things to templates, you can do anything. Pretty much, like, we're gonna work on packaging later for Eternova, this same company. And really, like, I think a lot of people get freaked out by packaging because they're like, oh, I don't know what goes where or how the printer needs it for finals, especially with boxes and more detailed packaging. All you have to do is ask the client to connect you with whoever their print vendor is, and then you ask the print vendor for their die line. That's what it's called. A die line is usually the template that will have all the guides for the printable areas, the non-printable areas, where the folds are. They'll usually have it labeled top, side, bottom, yada, yada. This company has a really detailed die line that we're working with now. So yeah, we'll show you that later. Roman Moore wants to know, does Eternova make jewelry for men? Their marketing seems like they make jewelry for women. Roman, actually they only make the diamond right now, but they also are pairing with jewelers to make custom settings if you want that as an add-on after. So it is part of like their add-on services, or that they're working on getting more of that kind of offering. But the main product right now is the diamonds, which you can then set yourself with a jeweler, or you can work with them with one of their partners. So they do it for both. How do you know when an illustration gets too over details and you have to stop? Asks Oksana.
That's a great question. And usually I'll just go and I'll see where it ends up, and then I start taking things away after. After it's done, I say, okay, now what's too much?
Yeah.
And that to me is the easiest way. And somebody else said that. That's like something that like the Swedes do, right? Is that just, right? It's like, okay, do it all. And
There's a
that's technically
Swedish
one thing.
word for some pretty much like just enough, not too much, not too little.
Right.
And the idea, it's kind of like the idea of if everyone's sitting at the dinner table, like, and there's one roll left in the, the bread basket, like
Yeah.
you wouldn't take the roll because that would be too much.
Interesting.
But I think that it's the same with design. The more I do design, the more I realize that design is an exercise in restraint. And at first, you don't know where that restraint needs to happen. So I think you just do as much as you can at first, and then you figure out what you need to take away. But to try to start out minimal, I think is really hard.
It is.
You have to start out, I think, a little bit more.
Figuring out what the important parts are.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of have to have them all in there to figure out what to throw away.
Yeah.
And everything always looks scary when you don't have hair. So let's just give her some hair.
Yeah. Eric Sue says, same for UI UX. Like you just design and design and design, and then you take things out after. It's so true. I think it applies to anything. Kali said, thanks. This week has been super fun. Kick-ass week. So cool. Ka, high five.
High five.
Yeah.
She has like this long, beautiful hair. And then here's another thing where it's like, it's really fun. And I used to get in so much trouble because I would just do too much detail.
Yeah.
And so I'll usually just do the big outline, and then I'll just catch a few highlights, and you kind of start to learn what it looks like, and you kind of start to learn like how to be almost like a comic book illustrator, and just like figure out what would work best.
Totally. Yeah, she's still using the trackpad. Aina wants to know.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I shouldn't have done that. Okay, so.
Grand Fawad said, it's creepy. I'm not liking this so far. Don't worry. It always looks weird at first. So it's kind of, you just have to get all the details
That's
in.
why this is so fun.
And it's weird when you overlay it on a photo, it's always going to look alarming because you're comparing it to real life, which it's not. It's an illustration. It's, you're intuiting something, or you're just like inferring something. So as soon as we like shift and click it over, I think you'll see that it kind of has a look.
But yeah. I love freaking everyone out like this because everyone's like, oh, your illustrations are so beautiful. I'm like, just wait till you see it happen live.
Yeah. Kate Gilmer wants to know if you use tablets at all or like a Wacom.
Actually, I bought a Wacom last year and it was really great because I was getting a lot of wrist pain from doing my mouse all day. And then that's why I switch it up so much. Sometimes I'll do my mouse. Sometimes if I'm at a coffee shop, I'll just use this trackpad. But the Wacom tablet has really helped with my wrists. Also doing those stretches that Jed taught us. Shout out to Jed Bridges. Jen, show everyone the stretches.
I'd like to show you. Well, I don't know how to do your stretchers, but like when you're getting like tired and you get that weird like shoulder cramp, if you can do the like yoga thing where you like cross your arms like this and then you pull, it like gets behind your shoulder blades and it feels so good. So that's a good one. And then I think Jed just kind of like does this and kind of like pulls front back, and then he tries to kind of work it to the side. And it's weird. It feels awkward, but it does help.
It does.
Yeah, but stretch your legs. Set an alarm, do what you have to, but you gotta get up and move around. I mean, I think I'm gonna turn into a hunchback. I swear, I get in the zone and I go like this, and I just don't look up for days.
Yeah, it's awful.
Giselle Field wants to know, can you explain the files you send to the client in terms of CMYK and RGB? Yes. So pretty much for each, I can explain it specifically for the, like for the logo, it's a little bit easier. But if you go to my screen real quick, see, you can see, so once they choose the final, I lay it all out. So this is the CMYK file. And so I'll build a CMYK file and then I'll build a RGB file. So I have a webmaster and then a print master. And so master file. And so I have all these artboards and they're all labeled what I want them to export as right here. So each artboard labeled Eternova main horizontal with tagline, yada yada. And then I have all of the reverse versions over here. So now that I have my master, CMYK, all of the right colors are selected. I just go to File, Export for PNGs and JPEGs, and then Save As for the EPS files, because I'm going to send them vectors, and then I'm going to send them web-friendly, and then I'm going to send them print-friendly. So with the from this file, I'm exporting all for the print settings, 300 dpi, or if it's the vector files, and they're all CMYK. And then for the other one, I'm exporting the other way. But you can see for the final logo set, that's kind of how we deliver it. EPS vector CMYK. And I'm labeling it for the client because when they download this, they might not know what to do with it, but I'm giving them all the key buzzwords so that if they work with a printer and the printer's like, hey, can I have the vector file? they then have this little note, but another printer might ask just for the EPS file or just for a CMYK file. And usually in our brand guidelines too, we'll have a page that explains all the file formats and which ones they should use when.
Oh,
and
you want to open up one of our brand guidelines?
Yeah, I can open that one later. But then I'll also have the JPEG. For those, obviously, I'm only showing the black on white, not the white on black. And then we'll send them PNGs for clear background in case they want to do any quick kind of like social mockups in Canva that they need to overlay. And then I'll send them like a TIFF high-res image that's CMYK. So they have like 2 good CMYK options and then 2 good RGB options. And it's all exported from this master file, so I don't have to do save as. I just export all the artboards and they're already named for me so that, I don't have to rename them after I'm done, if that makes sense. Cool.
All right, it's starting to look less scary, isn't it? Look, she's human. So a lot of times what I'll do is if I've got like a couple things that I'm working on together, like the illustrations have to match, I'll probably just I'm gonna copy this up here and I'm gonna see if it feels like these things go together. And then I'll kind of see like, oh, what did I do in this last one? And like maybe how is that one working better than this one? I think for sure using the darker skin tone really helps. This light skin tone is just too close to white in my opinion. So let's try doing that and then adjusting some of our colors. Cool, I already like that better. All right, so we're gonna send all that to the back. And then now you can't see all my little lines. So I think I'm gonna do these in this. And then this will be the lighter pink. I can move that to a lighter pink too. And then that's good. All right, so I'm liking where this is going. And then where are my smile lines? There.
Anne McDonald wants to know, do you primarily work on your laptop?
No, I switch it up all the time. It's always different, to be honest.
And we work for ourselves, and so oftentimes, because we don't have the community or like a really cool Adobe HQ office, we have a cool office because our house is really cool. But at the same time, you're gonna feel stuck, and especially if you're working by yourself or alone, I always like to change my scene up. If I've been working on something for 3 hours and I'm starting to hit a wall, I'll go work at a coffee shop. So that's where the laptop becomes really handy. But for certain things, I feel like I can only do them on my desktop. Yeah. Lefty Reitler says, artboard tip for export. Awesome, thanks. It's funny because it changed it, autocorrect it to dartboard, and every time I email a client, I always never, I'll say artboard, and it'll change it to dartboard, and it'll change moodboard to moldboard. Why?
Makes me crazy.
What word is that they're trying to change it to? Moldboards don't exist.
I'm who's using this word so much?
Yeah.
Apparently you can add words into your own dictionary, which I love. I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah.
It's genius.
Hassan, don't worry. I'll be doing something later. I'm going to be working on packaging after. But right now we're focusing on the illustration side.
So she kind of has this. And then
Adobe Live says mold boards are inspirational.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, good.
Oh, great. Okay, so I'm gonna
Chris Crockett, do you have your other employees come to work at your house? No, we're a completely virtual team. So Chutzpah, and because we bring on different contractors for different skills as the client needs it, and not everyone is employee, it's even more, virtual because sometimes the person we need to use is across the world. So that's where really great communication is key. So I've become really good at emails that are succinct, get to the point. They tell people exactly what I want when I want it. It's usually bullet points and key things are underlined, and I use my subject lines very well because one, reckless email causes 6 others because they're like, wait, what? Who?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? But yeah, it can be difficult, but for the right people, they really prefer it working remote where they want, when they want. It gives them a certain flexibility that maybe a 9-to-5 wouldn't give.
So I'm doing some hair,
Jose Resendez asked, do we save everything in Creative Cloud to switch between desktop and laptop? Oddly, we've just been working with Dropbox for so long as kind of one of our backup solutions and something that lets us work on the cloud. And because we need so much space, we've always used that.
I just learned about the Creative Cloud recently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think we had Dropbox before that was kind of an option before all the libraries synced so well. So we've just been always using that.
I'm just doing some hair details right now, just a few choice hair strands and shine lines. And we'll see how those turn out. And usually the shine is always on where the hair is kind of arcing. So I'm always
Kathleen Carrot says, kind of technical, but do you find clients asking for EPS format? I was under the impression it's a bit on the outdated side. We cut our teeth in the print industry at a print house, and that was always the format we were told to export to. But it could be, as long as there's a vector format, we used to send even more options. I would send them AI files, outlined AI files, if it was the logo. And then we would send them EPS, and then all the rest, the JPEG, the TIFF, the PNGs. But now it's like really you can place an EPS into an AI file easily, and it's no big deal. But I find when I work with printers, they're always asking me for EPS. They're hardly ever asking me for AIs. But maybe it's just a difference of area, difference of printer, difference of generation of printer that I'm working with. So yeah. For those hair strands, the tapering, that really did a lot.
Yeah, I know. I think
That's
it's
up
gonna
there
be...
in that profile window, yeah?
Yeah, the tapering, yeah. Yeah, I like to taper the hair strands. Just so
And
it's
you've
not like...
made your own profiles before, right?
Yeah, I've done, and I have them all, so I'm gonna copy this in and we'll see where it goes with her. But I think it's gonna make a difference. Oh yeah, that's looking way better. All right, so I need to fix her little hairlines there. It's a bit too much. So that's when you know, okay, that looks weird. I'm gonna have to take some of that out. Or sometimes just like lightening the stroke a bit can do a world of difference. All right, so let's see what that's kind of looking like. Okay, that's looking better. And so I didn't really want these to be blue, so I'm gonna make those the dark blue, the navy, because I kind of just wanted to show that. And maybe that's too much, I don't know, we'll see. But you see how it's already starting to blend? She looks really scary. No more demon cherub baby, she's looking great. And I'll probably, this still feels a little too heavy for me, so I'm probably gonna redo that shine and figure out a different option for that. These kind of feel, I'm gonna start taking some stuff out, just stuff that I feel like, could probably go, different things like that.
Although now she looks like she has a flat face.
No, I'm gonna do her a different nose thing.
Okay.
But and then I'm gonna fill in some white for her eyes. I'm gonna make that like 0.4.
Yeah.
And make that white. Send that to the back. That always helps. Yeah, I make my own profiles all the time because I like a taper that makes it look kind of custom, or like I didn't do this in Illustrator. I want it to look like I did it in a notebook,
Yeah.
So I'll send that to the back. Cool, so it's already looking good. Now her eyes pop a bit more. Yeah, I've got all these tapers that I've made before. Look at this crazy one.
So show how you do that.
That's before I learned how to do
The roughen.
the roughen thing, and I was trying to just make my strokes like really, really
Warbly.
warbly, yeah. So if you make your own pass segment, let's turn this blue so you can see it. We're gonna take off this so we can really see what's going on and just make it basic. And now we're gonna grab our width tool over here.
Or if you do Shift W, it defaults it when you're in a stroke.
Nice. And I always like the end to be a little bit the smallest thing.
Yeah.
And so I'll just start kind of doing some variation like that. And just kind of keep doing some stuff. And then say this is kind of where we want it. We like that. Now we're gonna select that, go up here, I think. Yep. And then at the very bottom it says add to profiles. And then you can name it, this could be my illustration warble. Okay? And then if I wanna put it on like a shape, if I don't want something to just be a plain shape, like maybe this line down here that I've got at the base, you can just select it and maybe it looks a little bit more,
Yeah, so now it looks like a little more hand done, a little more organic. I guess. Yeah.
Yep.
Agu Luke wants to know, do you ever show to the client sketches or just the almost finished proposal for illustration?
Oh, for illustration? Yeah, I usually try to show a sketch. Just because there's so much work involved. Like with this, it's kind of like you see what you get. It's an illustration of her, so I don't need to show concept, but I'll usually always try to show a rough sketch of a concept first, just to make sure we're all on the same page and I don't spend so much time, because illustration takes so much time.
Right.
So if you get too far down the rabbit hole in the wrong direction, that's always a bummer.
Yeah, but if you aren't a natural illustrator and it's not like easy for you to sketch and you think your sketch will scare the client and they won't be able to see it, because sometimes sketches can scare clients if it's not exactly right. So sometimes I wouldn't include it, just depending on what your skill level is, right?
And
how much you
different.
think, and how much you think your client will understand, like the intention of the sketch. If the intention of the sketch is more to show, like if you were doing more than her profile, her actual portrait, you were actually doing like flowers behind her, and then you wanted to include like a cat on her shoulder, and then maybe there was like going to be like a rocket shooting over the sky. Maybe that's why you're doing the sketch, to show them more of like, this is the concept as far as which items I want to include and where, but be sure to communicate to them like, this is not what it's going to look like on the final. I more want you to approve like the layout and what we're going to include. So yeah.
So That's everything better. Okay, so let's see what we've got going on with him.
Paul Alvarez, thanks. He says, I love your boldness with just illustrating portraits. Many years in the fine arts department has him thinking too technically when approaching figures.
You're right, yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. Like, even still, right now, I'm like, okay, what do I need to take away? What's, like, what's the sticking points?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make her eyebrows a bit finer. Maybe do this. And sometimes you have all the elements right, like you copied it directly. This is what it looks like, but you just have to kind of shuffle things around, Like that eyebrow looks way better now.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like,
Or like certain times I feel like the fill looks better than those little strokes,
I always do strokes. This is my
Really?
trick for eyebrows, and it's.
But I never do the strokes. I do the strokes at the beginning where the eyebrow is
these-
thinner, and then
right.
I fill it in all the way on
right.
the
Sometimes
edge.
I'll do that too, for sure. So
Yeah.
like I have this little one here that I can do. I'm basically just gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just. Like,
Tamara Lee wants to know, what are your main sources for daily inspiration or creative block, and not doing the comparison game versus being inspired.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. What's yours, Jen?
We mentioned a few yesterday, but like Behance obviously is like an amazing place to look from the get-go. But I feel like each portfolio site out there has like a slightly different like angle, right? Like I go to Behance more when I want to look at like
Case studies.
case studies, yeah. Whereas I'll go to Dribbble if I want to see quick like little logo marks, little illustrations. Instagram's obviously amazing to discover that kind of thing. But inspiration, I find that the things that get me the most excited to keep working aren't design related. It's more like seeing a new place, trying a new food, things that are completely outside of that, which then just get me like refreshed and reset outside of design so that I can come back to it and be actually excited again.
Right.
Instead of like chaining myself to design and force feeding myself that only for
inspiration.
days and then feeling like, I've had hamburgers for the past week, now I want to have pasta. Can I have pasta? Yes, you're allowed to change up your life.
You're allowed to have pasta.
You're allowed to have pasta. Unless you're gluten-free.
Then you shouldn't. Yeah. Yeah, I find inspiration a lot of times in like just TV, pop culture, movies, stuff like that. That's where I find a lot of my inspiration in like art forms that aren't exactly what I'm doing. It's not graphic design, but it's something that I can maybe take an idea from or take a color palette from or a mood or a vibe from. Definitely. I feel like also I learn the most when I talk to people who aren't in the industry that I'm in at all. So like if I'm talking to someone about business, okay, see, we fixed her eyebrows. Isn't that way less scary? It's way better.
Yes, way better.
And I think even though she has like these cute little hair things going on, I think I'm going to take that out and do something different with her hairline because I'm not liking where that's going. So I'm just gonna kind of adjust this a bit and maybe just do a few of these and take out the rest. Where do y'all find inspiration? Tell us in the chat. Like for right now, a friend of mine, I think it's Aoreo Studio. I think he helped start Abdazebo. Is that how you say it? Abdazido. That's another cool place for inspiration.
It is, yeah.
But it's a blog where they post a ton of cool stuff. And he just went to Tokyo and he's got these amazing like photos from his trip, and they're all, I think they're edited in Photoshop or like Lightroom or something, but oh my goodness, the color palette is like amazing, and I've never been there, so
wow,
that's been really cool. I've been following along with his trip. And then also Wormwood, that we talked about it yesterday a little bit when we were doing portfolio reviews.
Those tile designs are incredible.
Yeah, it's an Errol Morris documentary, and I forgot the name of the designer. Do you know the designer who did that?
Yeah, remember.
Anyway, the designer who did the title cards and treatment is just, I'm like, teach me everything. Tell me how to do it.
Yeah, there's a blog called Art of the Title that I love, and it's all the motion graphics that before, like, the shows and the movies start, and it's absolutely amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Print. Okay.
Jennifer Piatowski says, I honestly look at a bunch of stuff on the Commons on Flickr. Interesting.
Oh, that is interesting, especially for like old, they have a lot of historic uploads there too.
Oh yeah, I love that.
There's actually these old books, gosh, what are they called? They're
the Horizons ones?
No, they're old, those are cool too.
Those are cool.
They're old like clip art books, but back when you would just buy illustration books and then like scan the clip art, I guess. But they're from like the 50s, 60s.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a certain
Before
name
computers,
of Dover. Yeah. They're like published by Dover, and they're like, I don't know, but they're amazing. And if you go to any used bookstore or Goodwill, they're usually like a whole set of them.
I
just
remember
found
those.
so many places.
Yeah, no, that is cool.
Yeah. Let's see.
Right on. So this is looking good.
Totally.
See how scary it was, and now we're fine.
Yeah. And
Just
once you
keep
give her a
going.
neck and a body, it'll
It'll
be.
be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're just a floating head, it's a little bit. It's like The Simpsons.
Those heads in the
Yeah, the
jars
heads in the
for
jars.
the
It's like
future.
Walt Disney, and so funny.
Okay.
And sometimes I just, to make things match, I'll just make little highlights up if I feel like it'll help. All right, so now I'm gonna make her neck, and I'm gonna give her a top. Are you opening up the packaging?
Yeah, I'm going to start working on the packaging here in just a second. P.S. We're doing portfolio reviews today, so if you haven't done it yet, submit your portfolio.
Yeah, it's up in you'll see the tab right above the chat, and that's where
Yeah,
you see
so
it.
2 will be picked, and we'll be so excited to see what's up. Futurama, oh my gosh.
Futurama was the best.
The main guy, I forgot his name now, singing "I'm walking on sunshine,"
Fry.
like when like Fry, the whole
Fry.
world is like falling apart. It just cracks me up.
And what's her name? Peggy Bundy, that voices.
yeah, who speaks the?
She's got to be the best voiceover actress just ever. I just love her voice so much. She kind of sounds like Allison Janney now that I think about it, and that's kind of blowing my mind. But yeah. Also, the voiceover actor that does Bob's Burgers, I can't remember his name.
Oh my gosh.
But every voiceover actor on Bob's Burgers just cracks me up. Tina specifically. I feel like I'm a Tina a bit.
Yeah, this is like moving pretty quickly. It's interesting.
Yeah, it doesn't take that long. Like,
Yeah.
how long have we been working?
Like an hour?
Yeah.
Probably less.
And we've got all the hard stuff done. Now it's just kind of like filling in these like, you know, arms, torsos.
Those kinds of things.
All right, so
As soon as this ends, I'll be able to do it.
Cool.
Let me grab off this thing. Okay.
Sweet. So I'm just gonna copy this and then copy the hair so I have something to go off of. And then we have her body.
Cool. So while you're working on that, I'm gonna start working on my screen on some packaging for Eternova,
Perfect.
which is the same company we've been working on this whole week. They are a company that makes cremation diamonds, if you're just tuning in. It's where they take the ashes of a loved one, be it a pet or a person, and they turn them into diamonds that you can then wear in jewelry and keep that loved one close to you.
Jen, I want you to turn me into a black diamond.
Okay, yeah, that's the most expensive one, so golly. Could you lower your sights maybe?
Oh my gosh. Well, am I paying for it? Like, am I willing you the money to pay
I
for
think
it, or
you'd
are
have
you
to.
paying for it?
No, I think you have to front the money.
Okay.
But the cool thing is because it's such a new industry and maybe new to some. Someone mentioned that this has been around for a while, and it has. But for people who are sending the ashes of their loved one, if they're interested in this process but they're not ready to invest the whole amount, because it can be, I think anywhere from $7,000 to like $14,000. You're going to want to learn a little bit more about a company, right? So you can order this welcome kit, and this is this branded kit, and they send you this box, which you lift out of the shipping container. It has branding on the top, and then you open it up, and it automatically plays this video from Eternova, which they've custom made for you. So it opens with a note from the person who called you on the phone to contact you to make arrangements to send you this video. They've learned a little bit about your loved one. They've talked about your loved one and how excited they are to start this journey, and then they explain how the process works. So it's a really cool box, and it really builds trust and helps people know, wow, this is a real thing. This
Right.
is like something that they've invested a lot of time and thought into this. So in this box, then you have these little vials which have cubic zirconias to give example of size so that the person can order it. They include a handwritten note, and then we're going to be redesigning all these pieces because as you can see, it still has a little bit of the mix matchy from the original DIY branding that the team did themselves when they just started. So it's interesting because, let's see if I can, so this is, let me go to their die line. This is the template I got from the printer. But you can see it's a little confusing. Like I get that this is the top, that's the flap, that's the bottom, and then I'm guessing these are the sides that then slide in. It's not really labeled, so I asked the printer a little bit more about it, and while I'm waiting for him to get back to me on a little bit more about which panels these are, left or right, and what this is for if there's already a bottom here, as I'm waiting for him, I'm actually just gonna build out my own example rendering, like a really simple mock-up in Illustrator, so I can start at least planning for the graphics and what I want to go where.
And as long as you know the dimensions, like, you can do that, you know?
Yeah, and I actually, like, for now, I'm just gonna even just make a rough mock-up here because I can apply it to the final die line later and kind of like fine-tune the sizing. But yeah, we have a black and white thing here. So this will be our front panel. And I'm just gonna kind of recreate this box.
That's a funny thing when people, they'll always say like, oh, how'd you learn to do that? Or like, how'd you do that? And I just looked at the packaging and I measured it all and I recreated it myself. It's amazing if you just kind of do a little bit of research and just think, how would I figure this out? It's like, well, we need, 4 panels on the sides. We need 1 panel on top, 1 panel on the bottom. And then just measuring those and just making those boxes so that you can lay it out yourself and kind of figure out how it could work.
And this will also help me like mocking it up like this, which I could also place it on top of that box eventually, but I kind of just want to plan for the shapes, so I can just like get an idea of what's going to go where, and then I can take that art and mock it up properly on the box. But you have this like video screen that's like about that size. I'm just kind of like making a really rough blueprint.
Right.
Which again, everyone has their, I'm not saying this is the right way. I'm just saying when I want to get stuff done and I'm waiting on something like specs or explanations, I still like to get started and get an idea.
Where you're going.
Right, so that I can just keep working and making progress in the meantime. So yeah, that's kind of where we're going with that.
And usually what I'll do, going back to our illustration over here, is now that I kind of have my little illustrations going, I think what I'm gonna do is mock up a example page of their about page so I can show them what it would look like actually
applied
in
on their
use,
website,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah, because I think that really helps. That always helps me visualize things. So I'm gonna delete that. So we've got these illustrations. They're getting somewhere. I'm still gonna add her like details on her top and everything. And I'll probably give her like a short sleeve or something with like a pattern, just like I did with him. And add some shading and stuff, but we kind of have an idea where it's going. But so I'm gonna put her name in here, Adele Archer. And I need to match the clipping mask here. I'm gonna do a quick clipping mask, Command 7. First I'll grab my rectangle, put it on top. I'm gonna group everything I want a clipping mask. Command G, and then send it to the back, and Command 7. This object is very complex, very short. Oh, weird. Oh, I've never had to do that before. It's so interesting. I wonder if I take off this, if it'll still do that. Oh, interesting. I've never had that happen before. Okay, well, I think I'm just gonna select these points then and do it this way. There's always a workaround. Okay, cool. So we've got this. And then if we look at their about page, so I'm gonna go to their about page on their website, and I'm gonna mock up the illustrations that we made on their website, and I'm gonna mock it up with our new logo, new colors, everything, so they can start to envision how this is going to look in action and just get really stoked on it. Oh, Jan Erik Advertson says, dogs are a man's best friends, diamonds are a girl's best friend. Well, my dog is now a diamond, so. And that's an example, satisfied customer's testimonial, which I love. We've got to pitch that to Adele. That's amazing.
20 minutes left to share your portfolios with us, so definitely submit those because we're going to be able to review 2 today. It's going to be really exciting.
Right on. And do you want to show them the packaging that you came up with?
Well, that's what I'm working on, so you keep going.
Because we only have 20 minutes left.
Do we? No. We have like an hour.
Portfolio reviews.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to take a bit.
Okay, yeah. It'll be good. Keep going.
Okay. So if we look at their about page, which for some reason my internet is going kind of slow. So I don't know if I'll be able to do that. Let's see. Maybe if I can reload it. Technical difficulties, stand by. Let's see. Okay, so menu. Let's go to About Us. And then let's just take a screen grab so we kind of know what we're looking at and what we're working with. And then I'm just gonna rebuild it in Illustrator real quick. So here's what they've got now. It's not bad, but to me it's just lacking a bit of personality. I love seeing a little bit of personality put into the About page.
Yeah.
Like if I see someone make like an illustration of themselves or like an animated GIF or like fun copy or something, that just makes me take my guard down and feel like, oh my gosh, they're just people. We're all just people.
Yeah.
Like I trust these people. They're fun or maybe they're empathetic, like whatever it is I'm trying to get out of this About page. I love that. So So I'm gonna take a quick screen grab, Command-Shift-4 to screen grab, just so I have it. And then I'm gonna use their text because I want them to know that I get it. I'm listening, I'm looking. Don't have to use example copy, I'm gonna use their real text. So let's do a quick artboard. We'll say File New. We'll make something real fast. And Laurie Alejandro says, I love to go to Designspiration. That's a mouthful. Designspiration for inspiration. Awesome.
Oh yeah.
Have you been there?
Well, is that an account on Instagram? I feel like I follow them maybe.
Oh, they probably have an Instagram account
Yeah.
too, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm just gonna start. I've got my artboard open and I'm just gonna start recreating this about page. And it's gonna look similar, but I wanna start using all of our fonts. Jen, what font did we use? I forgot. What did we approve?
I don't think we approved them yet. We just gave them a few samples and they've agreed to a few, but definitely use this one sans serif and then use kind of like a condensed, they wanted something to be kind of bold. And I think when we talk about people like, yeah, or like
Living
how
Will.
that began.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
That's good.
All right, so I'm gonna use Gotham then, which is always my go-to. Everyone has their go-to font that they use, especially when it's like a sans serif body copy or any kind of body copy thing. What's your go-to? Mine is Gotham. And then,
Obviously, we'll probably pick something different
Yeah.
for them on the final because we want it to be a little bit more like unique just to them. But it's true. I always have my defaults to start with.
I mean, sometimes you just know it's gonna work.
That's
You're
true.
Like, it never lets me down. Gotham never lets me down. Let's see. So I've got my text here. I'm going to blow it up a bit. It's a little too small. We'll say like maybe 20. And then we'll do this in, let's do medium. And I think I'm going to center that. Kyle Fearson said his favorite font is Myriad Pro. Sure.
default, baby.
Sure. But I like it. Okay, Gotham's good too, though, he says. I agree. Someone said Comic Sans when you're bored. Verlag? Verlag.
You know
Debbie,
what I
I've never heard
love
of that one.
is that all these like fonts that we've
Montserrat.
made fun of, like Comic Sans and Papyrus, they're gonna come back because
Well, I'll be
Land Boys brought back Hobo with the rebrand for Stumptown, and ever since I feel like all bets are off.
All
Like,
bets are off.
Anything is up for
Anything's
grabs.
possible.
And I want to like see who's gonna make Papyrus like come back. Could we do it?
Do we have the social clout to do it?
I don't think so.
I don't think
it
we
could
do.
never be us, but
Oh, Haley says, I love Knockout. Me too. It has so many options.
Knockout's amazing.
That's a great one. Also, I'm so, I don't know what you'd call it, nepotistic, but I love my own fonts. My font, Palm Canyon Drive, I use it all the time. I'm like, where can I use this font? Palm Canyon Drive, all the way. I built it with Retro Supply Co. You can check it out on our website. We have it in our little shop. But I use it all the time. It's so funny. But I guess I make things that I like. It makes sense. I make things that I would want to use. All right, so we're just gonna drag in our illustrations that we've got so far. And then we're gonna start sizing things and figuring out how it could work. Oh, I didn't bring our hair in. Okay, I'm gonna unlock everything. Object, unlock all. Okay, copy this. Oh, Emily Thomas says, Vampire Weekend is giving Joker a comeback. I don't remember Joker.
which one's Joker?
Which one's Joker?
Okay, wait, I gotta Google this. Or
That's
you
so
Google it
funny.
because your screen's on.
Okay, I'll work on it. I'll
Joker
work on it.
font.
Okay, so let's see. All right, so we've got this. I'm gonna line these two up. And it doesn't have to be pixel perfect. We're just basically saying like, look how cool this could look if we do this, you know? And we're giving them an idea of how it can look actually in use. All right, so I'm gonna just kind of group these. I think those look good like that. I'm gonna make Adele a bit smaller. She seems a bit too large for some reason. Okay, cool. And then I'm just gonna start shuffling things around. And then, Jen, where did you put your final logo files? Also, look how organized my files are. We've got them A through E, alphabetical. Do you like that? We've got Hutzpah Open Access, which is all of our Hutzpah stuff. We've got all of our clients listed alphabetically. Then we have all of our web and portfolio stuff. You gotta stay organized. It's the only way to keep your sanity.
So yeah, it should be under Eternova.
So we're gonna go to Eternova. We've got all of the stuff that we were working on for them organized. We've got discovery, illustrations, all the stuff. So we're gonna go into logo, Eternova logo set. We've got all of our different logo files. I'm gonna go EPS, and I'm gonna open up, ooh, I love that tagline, Mark.
Yeah.
Let's see, I'm gonna do this. And then I'm also gonna do, yeah. Jimmy Mitchell says, love Vampire Weekend. Me too. Like Hannah Hunt, I could listen to that on repeat all day and not be mad. Oh, Voodoo Val says, wow, my files are a disaster. I know. We started working at a print house, and I think that's where we learned this whole thing of you have to stay organized just because there's so many files, and when you're working on a magazine monthly, 3 different magazines, everything has to be in like perfect order.
Yeah.
So we learned quickly that you have to, uh-oh, there's a guide in here. Oh, unlock guides, here we go. Sometimes you get a guide in there and you forget about it, that you have to stay organized. Ryan Montgomery asks, what do you use the green file markers for? Sometimes, like if I'm working with, like, say Arturo, our junior designer, or with Jen or somebody on something, and they asked me, like, can you save me these kind of files in this kind of file format? Like I need final file saved, logo file saved for this client. Then I can go in and I can say, oh yeah, there's a lot of files in there, so this was the final file, it's highlighted in green. Instead of them having to like hunt through for the file name or me having to type out the big long file name, I'll just say, hey, the green one's approved. Or if I'm working on like an editorial project, I do that for myself. I'll mark things as yellow if they're works in progress. I'll mark them as red if I'm waiting on the client, and then I'll mark them as green if that editorial piece has been approved. And it's just kind of to help me know, okay, we're about 30% done with this project if I look at these little markers. Yeah. Gemma Whale, it says left align the paragraph text. Can you tell I don't work in web?
I know. That's
Or
bad.
maybe we can do full justify left?
No. Mm-mm.
No?
Nope.
Really? No. Like that?
Yeah.
No?
That's better.
That's what I mean, full justify.
No, but I mean like, I can't
You like
see.
it raggedy?
I don't have my glasses.
Oh yeah, put your glasses on. Let's do it raggedy. Okay, and then I think we need to do, we'll do light. And then this is way too tight on the lighting.
Yeah, especially for web.
Yeah,
I would
and
even go
actually I'm
more.
gonna do even bigger and even more. And we'll just do this first paragraph first. Okay. Let's see. So this is all looking good. I'm gonna start using our brand colors. So I'm gonna bring in the blue that we've got. So I'm gonna bring in my brand colors that I have over here. I usually like to make little squares for myself so I can just easily eyedropper. Of course, I still make swatches too, but at least from here I can just drag it straight in. I'm gonna use this blue, probably this one too, this dark blue.
Yeah. Or you can also just make a new
And
palette if you select them all and
this.
create the
Wait,
new
what?
folder.
Teach me something.
Wait, select it all. Go to your little palette here and do the new folder.
The new folder?
Yeah, new color group, and then name it Eternova.
Okay.
Yeah.
Eternova.
And then if you put that on the library, I'll be able to use it too.
Cool. I didn't know
Yes.
that. Jen, you taught me something. Thanks.
That's probably the first and only time that will ever happen. Usually I'm like, Amy, help me. Also, like, if we were to build an actual website, I'd probably, we wouldn't use Illustrator. Like, we used to do that a long time ago. I mean, you can. There's nothing wrong with it. It's all really, you just have to export assets for developers at the end. It doesn't really matter how you get there, I guess. It's all preference. Sometimes when we're quickly mocking stuff up just to prove something, if I'm already in a program and I just want to get it done and I already have all my pieces there,
Totally.
I'll just work in that program, prove the concept, and then if the client wants to keep moving forward, I'll like build it out in like the proper way.
Right.
That might be a bad.
But I'm just trying to do a quick rough mock-up. So for me, I'm just gonna do it in here. And also, I hate when the hyphens are turned on, so I'm gonna go to paragraph, turn those hyphens off. Don't want that. Ooh, now I got a widow.
Also, are you the same way? Like, I don't like to create a paragraph or character style until I've been able to play around for a while and find what I like. And then once I like the layout, I'll make my like paragraph and character styles
match.
Yeah, to make it all simple so that I can keep going across
Totally.
the next pages.
Yeah, you
but I
gotta
feel like
futz around
to
with
try
it.
and lock yourself in at the beginning, it like gets so annoying.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. That's just me.
That's just me. All right, so I'm gonna do this in that blue, maybe. Maybe do like a little underline. What do you think, Jen? You do most of the web design for us. So what are we thinking? Do we like it? Do we not like it?
Yeah, it looks good.
Cool.
Move their heads down. I feel like they're about to hit the ceiling.
They're about to lift off for portfolio reviews.
That's funny. Okay. You should also put their titles.
Okay, got it. Found her.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm kind of getting somewhere in this box, actually.
Cool. And then I think up here I'll do maybe like about. Okay. Something like that. And then maybe like a fun little. Like maybe we can do it as like a timeline. That'd be kind of cool because they're saying how it all began. It's kind of like a story. So maybe I'll do like a timeline. That was something else we had talked about with the client, was doing a timeline of showing like where their project is at. It's like, okay, you've ordered the diamond. Here's where you're at. The diamond, or you've submitted your loved ones. What are they calling it? How are they wording that? I'm sure they're not
they
saying
say
remains. Are they saying remains?
Yeah.
Submitted your loved one's remains. It's in Germany. That kind of thing. All right, so let's do some stroke updates. Yeah, so just like that. I'm just kind of figuring it out. It's not the best, but it's not the worst. Cool. So this is something that I could show them and just say like, hey, look how cool it would be if we use, your illustrations like this. In context, it could look like this. I could still build out like the menu, of course. Yeah, Oh yeah, I lost some of my hair. Creative Punch says, I think you lost some of the accents in Adele's hair. I did, thank you so much. Sometimes you lock things for your own help and then you forget about it and it gets lost. Also, somehow these got changed too. But yeah, but I can fix all those later. But yeah, so that's kind of what I would do. And then after you're done with this, you would just export it into, or place it into your InDesign file. And that would be part of my proof system, is showing them not only here's the illustration just as it is, like you'd see it here, just like large and in charge, so they can see all the detail and see if they like the way they look. Maybe he thinks his beard's too long, he wants a shave, whatever it is. But then I'm also gonna show it to him in the actual context of how it will be used.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I'm making good progress on my box if you wanna switch over to my screen. So pretty much I've just created like a rough idea. So I don't know if you can tell from this box image here, but this actually has like a flap on the, or at least on the ones that they send now. There's a new version that has a flap on the front that comes up. So you can see it here from the side. And then
Nice.
This is the top of the box. That's
Right.
the flap with a little like ribbon that helps you pull it up.
The
And
pull
then
tab.
these are the sides, and then that's gonna be my back panel. So those are all the places I have branding opportunities, because I saw on the box they sent me that they had printed on all those sides.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, I know that they're willing to print on all the sides. So I kind of have it all laid out. I have the main logo placed, the little tagline lockup we did for them.
Love that tagline.
And I feel like at this point it's good to be kind of simple. I like the idea of making the whole box that vivid blue, because when I got the sample kit sent, it comes in the white shipping box, and then you pull this kit box out of it. So when you open the white shipping box, if you just saw vivid blue and just like
Yeah.
the Turnova,
It's a wow
remember
moment.
remarkably, yeah, just simple. So they're gonna pull it out, and then I kind of want, like, because part of the Turnova's goal is to reshape the mentality around death and turn it into more of a celebration of someone's remembrance of their life. I want to put a little message here on the flap. Like sometimes I see that on boxes where it's like, this is gonna be fun, open up, or open sesame.
Right. It's interactive.
But obviously we can't be too playful because it's also
Serious.
Yeah, like you don't want to diminish someone's grief by being too playful. So also I want to put
Yeah,
this
tone
mark
is
over
important.
here. But oops, I don't want that there.
And just a reminder, don't forget to submit your portfolios. There's a submission tab, so you don't have to leave it in the chat. You can submit it in the tab.
But the cool thing with all these marks that we've made now is that we have all these little assets that we can put on the box without just putting the same logo
Right.
here, there, everywhere, you know?
Right.
It still looks custom. But for here, I'm going to use this font, and then I'm just going to type a little message.
It's like when you go see a band live and they just play like basically the record straight through.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's not what I'm here for. I'm here for the variations. I'm here for
The stories?
Yeah, I'm
the
here-
road stories?
Yeah, you want variation. You want, little details that are slightly different but still on brand.
Totally. Ooh, in the chat, what's the favorite concert you've ever been to as far as like great stage presence, good stories, good,
Yep. Yep.
audience engagement?
Because for me, like a live show will make or break whether or not I like that band anymore. Like if I see them live and it's just like boring, they played through the set, they didn't talk to you, they didn't look at you, they clearly didn't want to be there, I won't do it again. The Shins, they lost me on that one. It's kind of a bummer. Maybe they were having a bad day. Gus backs me up. Shins, he says, was not a lackluster show. And I loved the Shins. And I was like, listen, if you don't want to be here, you can leave. We're not feeling it either. But it was kind
And
of
did he hear you? What did he say back?
He's like,
what did he think of
Amy
your
Hood didn't
feedback?
like me? Oh, I quit. No, yeah, he didn't care. He kept making music. No, but actually, Daft Punk, good call. The Killers, actually, Gray, Keith, great name, Gray. He says Green Day. I saw Green Day live. It changed my life. It changed my life.
Yeah, our friend drug us there. We didn't think we were gonna like it.
I loved the Dookie album. Like when I was in the 90s, I was all about Green Day, but then I was like, they're not doing anything anymore. And then she made us go, and it was an amazing show. Pixies, yes. Dinosaur Jr., that's a throwback, and I appreciate it. Avett Brothers, love the Avett Brothers. I've seen them like 3 times live. 1975, I've heard that the 1975 aren't great live, and that broke my heart. Tell us if that's true. Arctic Monkeys, they are so good. They are so good. Lady Gaga, she's amazing. Did everyone see A Star Is Born? What was your favorite movie that you saw this year? I loved A Star Is Born. I just pretend like the end never happened. I just remember it up to the good point, and then I just pretend like the end never happened. I can't handle sad movies.
So for this text on the, sorry to break up your monologue, but for this text here, I think something like this is the right tone. An exciting new journey with your loved one begins here. Because what Eternova's got feedback from their clients is that through this process of making this cremation diamond and getting these updates about, oh, your loved one's now in Germany. Oh, they're now going through the process. They're turning into diamond as we speak. It might sound strange to us who aren't coping with losing someone right now, but for the person who wants to still feel connected to that person and feel like their story's continuing, they said that that was actually a really exciting part of the process, is to feel like their loved one had a journey that continued.
That's cool.
So
I like that.
Yeah, so I think that idea of saying your journey with your loved one begins here, a new journey, like they're not gone, like it's just a new phase, you know?
Yeah.
And like maybe
then you're starting that timeline line. I think that could be cool. I like that.
So we put a little line here, and it's kind of like directing them to open it.
Yeah.
But also, you're right, maybe we could kind of like use that motif later. And maybe I'll like pull this little icon. I love the idea of using this little icon here and there. As a kind of just like a little branding opportunity that's not always just the logo.
Right.
So we're gonna put this on the side panels. And again, once I get the layouts, I'll like make sure this is all exact.
Right.
If this was,
start to, then you get the rollers out and kind of see.
oh, you know what would be cool? If this side had a white side, that way if you stack the boxes vice versa, it would be pink, white, pink, white.
Right.
And I'm also thinking about that, like obviously no client's gonna order 2 welcome kits because they don't need to. But from the perspective of Eternova, when they're taking branded images or photos of in their warehouse, having that opportunity for that change of color, it just adds interest and it shows intention of thought.
Right, for sure.
And I like the idea of no matter what side they're looking at, they're always gonna get this little icon in the exact same spot.
Yeah, I dig that.
P.S. Reminder, in 4 minutes, about 4 minutes, we're going to do the portfolio reviews. So make sure and submit in time. Send it in. We'll cover 2.
We want to see what you're doing. We've been talking about ourselves for like an hour and a half. This is so annoying. Let's see what you're doing. What are you up to? Nathan Gregory says Cage the Elephant, and not just because they're from BG. Their shows are awesome. So Cage the Elephant is from our hometown of Bowling Green, Kentucky. And they were awesome. And our friends band, Matt Wilson and Eric Wilson, they used to open for them, and it was super fun. We'd see them at, remember the Java House?
Yeah.
What was your favorite crappy venue that you used to see shows at? Ours was this coffee shop that it only fit like 40 people. They didn't have any AC. They had like board games that you could use. It was super fun.
Ooh, speaking of zigzagging content on these boxes, like when you stack them back to front or front to back. So the side, you see how that content will stack nicely for a photo. But now, if I put this, which is another different branded piece, this little tagline piece on the back, if you stack the boxes back to front, you'll see an exciting new journey with your loved one begins, and then it'll say, remember remarkably. How cool is that?
I love that.
So now we're just kind of like building out something that feels so intentional.
It's so intentional. And when you show a client this, I mean, you've won them, you know?
Because sometimes it's hard for me to send stuff that's really simple like this. I'm like, oh, there's not a custom illustration on it. There's no photo. But that's like we said, sometimes it's an exercise in restraint, and sometimes less is more.
Absolutely.
So now that I kind of know these pieces and visualize them, I can kind of, and also there's a little flap here I need to plan for. So.
Also, hi Anel Heading. Everyone's jumping in the chat. We've got some more people. Marvin Lee from Germany. Awesome. What's the weather like in Germany? It's cold here. Is it warmer there? Also, Marvin Lee Tobin, great name. Great name. You are destined for greatness. I don't know. Feels like you need to have like a talk show or something.
My rough CAD skills here are pretty funny. But you get the idea. That's the
flap.
But
it helps. Yeah.
So if that's the flap, what I'm realizing now is there's another opportunity to brand underneath the flap on the box that's then revealed.
Okay.
So I think that panel would be white.
Okay.
And
wait, those panels are blue, right?
Well, but see, this is the flap, and then underneath it, there's still that box.
Right.
But that's why this packaging mock-up was tripping me out. Like, see, where did it go?
Voodoo Val says, I've never been to a concert. Val!
What the heck?
It is life-changing. I'm trying to think of a good first concert. I say don't go to a big one. Go to a small one, have a friend take you, make sure it's a band that's known for being great live. You gotta go. It's awesome. It's gonna make you so inspired. It's gonna be great. Emily Kerr has a suggestion. I think you need to put the emblem on the back end of the white, so when it's flipped, it will align with the pink side's emblem.
Oh, I did it backwards, you're right. Let's see. So right, if it's like that.
Right.
It's so hard. So if it's like that, then it would have to be on the other side.
Yep.
Thank you, Emily.
So that one, we'll go up there.
Yes, you're right.
Emily, you're on it.
And you're right, I would need to like align these perfectly later, but I'm not gonna worry about it now. But yeah, it would be kind of like that then. Okay.
Oh, Surreal had a note. That part can have the line where they write the customer's name. That way it feels more personal.
Oh,
Remember we
yeah.
had like the person's name that was in remembrance
Where are you
of?
thinking that? Like right here on this white
It
or
could be
on the opening?
It could be that moment when you open it, you
Right.
know? Like the personal
Okay.
moment, you know?
So it'll say.
And that's one of those things where it's like you're pitching. For us, we're always pitching like biggest idea, right? It's like the coolest idea. Now we know that that might be too expensive to actually make happen. But we're saying, what if we dream big, then we take away? Right?
Yeah, because it's like, so when we're considering this, now we're saying, okay, now there's a human element that needs to handwrite the
Right.
name, which is fine because they're already handwriting a note, so it's
Totally.
not hard, you
So
know?
it's not unfeasible. But I love
so-
maybe it's like this, or you could even say this package was made for, you know, something like that. Yeah. And Surreal says, yeah, under the opening moment. So perfect.
Good idea.
Right. Surreal, we're making magic happen. This is why if you're doing freelance by yourself, find friends, your friends in this chat right here, your friends that you can start DMing for advice. Like if you're working on a project and you're stuck, send them a screenshot. Say, hey, what do you think? Eric Sue, help me. I need help. Or Jimmy Mitchell, what do you
And
think?
give them context. Don't just say, what do you think? Because that's a dangerous question. You need to tell them, like, this is for a client who wants X, Y, and Z. This is the inspiration. Based on that, do you think this is a good solution?
Totally.
You know? Otherwise, you might just get some random feedback that
But find
kinda
your
misses
community.
the mark. Yeah.
All right, y'all. It's that time. Get ready for liftoff because we're going into space. It's portfolio review time. We're here.
We're back from
I chose the wrong
space.
day to wear a hat. This is like, this looks like the mod era, you know, like Twiggy eyelashes. This looks like something that was actually a thing.
That they used to wear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Portfolio review time.
It's happening!
All right, I'm currently pulling up the portfolios. Let's see. Jen, so what do you look for in a good portfolio?
Oh gosh, I like to see why, like what was the intention, like who the client is, like what the goal was, like because if I know those things, I can understand so much more why they made their decisions
Why?
instead of just like thinking aesthetically
Absolutely.
about
it's
whether or
not-
not I like it visually. Because
Right.
that's not the point. Whether or not I like it visually might not be the point. Maybe they're targeting it to a completely different person. So yeah.
Totally. All right, so let's start with Sean Pearson.
Ooh, I gotta put my glasses on for this. Sorry, guys.
yeah, get your
We're-
glasses
We're
on,
going out
Jen.
of space for a minute. I'm about to get
All right, I'm gonna turn my
Real.
bookmarks off. Hi, bookmarks. Okay, so Sean Pearson, digital artist. He works at the UPS store in
Ooh.
Pensacola, Florida.
How
Sean,
exciting.
welcome. I already love the marbling at the top already. I'm like, I already kind of have a vibe for what your style is.
Totally.
And I dig it. I really dig it. Full screen. Oh, how do I do window? Do you know how to do it?
Just hit the little green button on the top left.
Oh, nice. Thanks, Paco. All right, so let's start with which project should we click into? I really like the top one, cubed, but I also really like this one.
Yeah, let's go to that one.
Let's do this one first, and then we'll do the next one.
Okay,
too. Okay. Motion graphics assets for Cubed Luminous.
Okay, click
Okay.
that play
Ooh,
button.
there's a video. Oh, cool. It's a title splash. Nice.
Wow.
Okay, so this plays before. It's an open call to artists. I dig that. Oh. It's kind of got
Even
like
the
a,
music chosen is like really appropriate.
it's got like
good.
the aperture thing going on with like a camera almost. Wow, this is cool. I don't know how long this is, but I really dig it. It really matches the vibe of the lettering with the kind of like neon, almost Tron Legacy.
Oh, totally.
You
Yeah.
know? It's
yeah, that
really
is
nice.
beautiful.
Wow, so nice.
Okay, so Cube Luminous was an open call to artists to submit silent digital works. The exhibit was held during Foo Fest, a music and arts festival in Pensacola, Florida. His responsibility was to make assets for use for bumpers between the live performances. This is incredible.
If I saw that playing on the screen, like that would be a fun way to recognize what the event is, what's happening, but it's still kind of like vibey and backgroundy. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
It's perfect. I think it's
So
great.
the font is something.
Thumbs up.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. Oh, I can follow it too.
So go up. But yeah, I think the pairing of the font with those illustration assets matches really well because you have like the thins of the little outer pieces of the circle.
aperture, right.
Yeah, that match kind of the thins of the font weight. And the way you made it feel like it was going through a circuit board was amazing. That was really cool.
I dig that.
I love this kind of
with
sketchy.
the little eyes looking.
Wow.
Oh, that's fun.
That is fun.
Oh,
Interesting.
this is so fun. Oh, I dig this.
Yeah, it's very counterculture. Like everything doesn't completely match as far as like the strokes of those motion elements at the end on the people were a bit thicker and fatter than what I expected based on the font. And but I think that's the point, is that it's supposed to be kind of counterculture and unexpected, and it's not supposed to be perfect. And I like that about
Me too.
it. Yeah,
Totally.
I think if it
Sean.
all matched, it would look a little more corporate, which is not what you wanted.
Right.
So. Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna look at this other project, Transparency Experiments. Ooh, cool. So you're gonna do your own like Adobe daily creative challenges.
Yes,
This
good
is
for
cool.
you.
This is great. So okay, this one says keep practicing. I like
nice.
it. I like
Yes.
that message.
Speaking to it, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I love this. I love this style, and I'm actually trying to do something like this for a project I'm working on right now for a friend, of collaging photos together, using shapes, using clipping masks.
Blend modes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I really like this one.
Yeah.
And you can see like the photo is repeated, just zoomed in each layer. Very cool.
Yeah, like I could
Very
see that
cool.
definitely working for like an Urban Outfitters campaign or something like that, where you have to highlight something, but you also have to give it a feeling.
Yeah. All right, so this was an actual Photoshop daily challenge.
Oh,
Awesome.
yeah.
Very cool. Oh,
We
the
saw
Rare
that one
Summit.
yesterday.
Yeah, we saw this the other
that's
day.
amazing.
Nice.
Well, it just goes to show like the principles that he's learning here, he's applying in his other projects.
Yeah.
And every time you do that, it's getting better. So that's really cool to see.
Nice.
I really think the right side piece is really strong.
Oh, so strong.
I feel like the left piece could be a little bit stronger if the Rare and SU, the colors were maybe the peach, so it was a little bit more of a honed in color palette.
Oh, right, because that light blue, the cyan blue, is almost a bit too, it stands out a bit too much compared to the rest.
To me, yeah.
Yeah.
That's just preference.
Something to try.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, execution's really well done.
Yeah, I love that one on the
And then
right.
on day 2, I almost feel like the road should be desaturated as well, you know, to fit that whole like monochrome vibe.
Right, maybe
So-
the yellows and the double lines could match that yellow that you used on the left.
Yeah, totally.
Awesome.
So really great job there.
Let's try this one. This one's a restaurant repair. I'm assuming a logo. Coastal Restaurant Repair. It says idealization of a new logo for a client of mine. The previous logo and most of the symbols he uses in his marketing are based around tools. I combined the tools of his trade with the color he was already using in his uniform. The business is very casual and Southern charm, so I decided to draw the shapes for the tools and utensils in graphite, scan it, and vector them in. Oh, nice. So it's got that kind of warbly edge. I think you could even lean into that a little bit more.
Yeah.
A little bit more warbly.
Yeah, add a little bit more texture so that people can see that it's even more intentional than, you know, just kind of noticing, oh, there's a little thing there, you know?
But I love the thought behind that, and
Totally.
I really dig that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun. I like that.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Awesome, Sean. Great work. All right, let's look at our next one. Alexandra Daly. Okay.
Oh, she was in the chat today. Yeah, hanging out.
Alexandra, that's right.
You hung out for the portfolio part.
She's
That's
a
exciting.
multimedia designer, and she's based out of Arkansas. Hello and welcome from the South.
Yes.
All right, let's look at this first one. Okay, student support services. The challenge was
to create a mark, associated applications, and a style guide for student services. After an extensive interview with the client, I began to brainstorm and sketch. I also went and took photos of the spaces and interviewed some staff in the area to get a greater feel and understanding for the project. Already, you won my heart and mind. Knowing that as a
Field
client,
research?
yeah,
Yeah.
even if I knew nothing about design, even if I, you know, for some reason didn't like this project, which I already like it, knowing that you put that much effort into understanding and using that to direct your design decisions, I think just says the world
Says so
about your
much.
process and how serious you are about getting good results.
Yeah,
So
and-
already win-win.
win.
Yeah.
Major win.
So that's
So
the
those are the research photos.
Yeah, that's the research.
Sketches.
Cool.
And I'm always torn. What do you think about showing sketches? I feel like there's two camps. Don't show sketches, do? I'm
I
of the
think
mind.
show them, but if you show them, I always like to show it at the end after I've shown like this is the presentation, this is the project, and then I work backwards
Right.
after the big reveal, and then I say, ooh, but now let me show you like the behind the scenes, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
I think I agree. I think showing like the wow image first to be like, oh my gosh, I'm blown away. And then kind of showing, and then this is how I built up to it. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, cool. So
But it's
those are-
interesting. Wow. So now seeing her sketches and now seeing how it was applied, I love
See,
that.
I almost would have liked to see this first and then see the sketches, but I love this.
Yeah.
I really dig this.
Wow. Really clean. Really good work. That
And
middle
look,
one.
And look how cool, like, look at all the variations. Like, that's so fun and interactive. Like, I can imagine a bunch of different posters all over. It just is so fun.
Already you can see how versatile the brand
Mm-hmm.
could be by applying that motif, like, you know, throughout campaigns.
And then here's what the final logo was.
Okay, cool.
The final color exploration experimentation that led to the final logo.
Awesome.
So the mark has many parts. It is comprised comprised of the 3 S's to represent student support services. I love seeing that in a portfolio, seeing the breakdown of the why to show me that you're not just somebody that takes orders or takes direction. You also think for yourself and you can come up with actual strategy and concepts.
Yes.
I love seeing that. So portfolio posts like this that are more like a case study, I love.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is awesome. Very cool.
that's amazing. I think if anything, it could be kind of cool to see the black lines. Although I see that it's kind of supposed to be a layered effect, but
You know
I
what
kind of
I-
want that middle black line to hit the arrow.
I was gonna say, you know how there's like the 2 blue gradients?
Yeah.
It's almost like that inner blue gradient should actually be the black arrow. A part of that. You know what I mean?
And it would all be outlined.
Yeah.
But either way, that's just preference.
That's just preference.
I think it's well executed. It
I
feels
love it.
balanced.
Ooh, I like. It's always interesting to me to see how people show colors
Yeah.
for the brand colors. Dig
Yeah,
it.
that's a
Right on.
unique way to show that.
Nice. Oh, I love.
I actually love it on the flat stark.
Yeah.
But see, this is why I like showing the black and white first of a logo to a client, because if they don't like the color, like I've already won them
Right.
on the form.
Yeah.
But either way, like now I'm like, oh, I see this even clearer. So just great work overall. I think it's all preference on how
yeah.
you present it in which order.
But I
would
love this.
definitely start with your final solutions at the top and then work backward to your sketches so that they don't see the unfinished things first.
Cool. And then she's got her word mark with the font that she chose. And then here are the applications, which is what I'm here for. All right. Ooh, look at this tee. I would wear that. To me,
Yes.
that's like the test. Look at this one. I dig that. A unique placement. That's really cool. Wow. Right on.
Wow, those look so great together.
And just seeing how well it works across everything, that's awesome.
I could even imagine
So-
that motif expanding into directional wayfinding, like in the student services.
Maybe
and
it's along the floor?
Yeah, like she's already done it
Yeah.
here. Like she's showing a pathway, but using it even for like environmental graphics could be really cool.
Nice. Oh, and she's got those arrows make like a really nice motif you can use throughout everything. Gosh, look at that set. Like, how can you
looks
not be
so
sold?
cohesive.
I would say start with this photo. What do you think, Jen?
Yeah, as far as like, ooh, I want to click in. This
Yeah.
looks really like a broad, brand experience that I
For
love.
sure. Alexandra, that was awesome. I love
Yeah.
seeing an in-depth case study like that. Doing great. Seriously,
Incredible.
follow.
Which she did. She showed it as the first one on the hover.
Yeah,
But yeah. I guess
right.
when you click in,
Showing
yeah.
it again. Such great work.
Yeah. Let's see
Such
the
great
next
work.
one.
That's it? Oh, so look at the next project?
Yeah.
Oh, I want to look at this one. Mango Rage. Mango Rage. I love that name. The challenge was to create packaging for a drink can that used the color red, incorporated Indian themes and mango flavor with a maximalist Horvachui. What does that mean? Andrea, tell us what that means. Artistic style. I went to the store and looked at existing energy drink products. I took some photos of them. I also went online and collected a few inspirational photos to create a quick, dirty mood board.
Cool.
Ooh, look at these sketches.
Yes.
Oh, look at that sliced mango. I love going to the beach when they bring around the sliced
With the
mango that looks like a
tahini.
flower
Oh
with
my
a
gosh.
tahini.
Now I'm hungry.
Oh, so good. Bye, Kyle Fearson. Thanks for joining us.
Yes.
Ooh, look how they look once. She used Adobe Capture.
Cool.
That's so cool. So this to this is Adobe Capture.
Wow.
Genius. Way to like streamline your process. Ooh, I like this way of presenting colors.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Gosh, you can tell she just has like a high design IQ.
Yep.
You know, like when they play,
Like Rajon Rondo has a high basketball IQ.
right? Like you can just tell like she's like
there.
a born art director. One day she will just be directing talented minions to do her will, and we will all be better for it.
Awesome. Bye, Michael Vadrine.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Mango Rage. I think I prefer the right hand side, but I like them both. Like this is, I can see. Is it kind of an energy drink? Because I could see it being an energy
Yeah,
drink.
it's supposed to be an energy drink.
Yeah.
Yep.
We inferred it. That
Well, she
means you
did say
your
it
job.
earlier, but you were on autopilot, so I don't think you were paying attention.
Sorry.
Oh, interesting. The cans. Wow. Applied, it's like I see it.
Oh yeah.
So it might be a tad busy. I love all the pieces, but it just might be a tad busy
Let's see.
as far as.
I guess the final piece is this one.
Okay, so those are- okay,
I think
sorry.
that was just kind of like concepts leading up to.
Proof
But yeah.
that clients never read the proof. I'm sorry.
I know, right?
I'm your client. I'm
Living
not reading
proof,
it.
living
So
proof.
sorry. But yeah, okay, this is much cleaner. It's interesting. Now I see her process. She's like, oh, it was too. She saw what I saw. It's a bit too busy.
Totally.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh, that's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, those
And
are.
then if anything down here on this mock-up, I would say play with the colors on that splashing of the red, like the drink.
Mm-hmm.
It looks a bit like blood right now. But I mean, I think if you just slightly played with the levels or something,
Mm-hmm.
that could easily be like softened to maybe a red or an orange. Even sometimes soft drinks are a little bit lighter. You could even do like a light orange.
Yeah.
And I think that would fit really good.
Yeah.
Right on. Oh, look how
Alexandra Daly says it's meant to be like they're raging out on too much caffeine. I totally pick up that vibe.
Totally.
Yeah,
Totally.
like a Code Red vibe, you know.
Yep.
Like, but I like it. It's really well done.
I dig it.
Cool.
That was so good.
Great work.
Major thumbs up.
I mean, you really have like you can tell you enjoy the cohesive aspect of brand design.
Totally.
You were born for it.
Yeah, and I would say if you're looking to get more projects like this, more bigger brand build outs, which I find a lot of designers have a hard time making the jump from, oh, I can just get one-off logos or just business card designs. If you're looking to get full-on projects that include, full identity systems, you have to make that. You have to show that you can do it. So find a project, whether it's, finding a charity like Andrew Hockrattle did, or finding a friend who's starting a business but maybe doesn't have enough capital to spend a ton of money.
Yeah.
Find someone that will let you build them out an awesome brand project with an identity system.
Or like give yourself your own brief, which I think a few
Yeah.
of these like where she gave her own brief, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, so there's tons of way to do it, but definitely you have to show that you can do it before you'll get hired to do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Right on. So it's our last 15 minutes of our last day. How are we going to fill it?
In the
What are we
last,
gonna do?
okay, ask us anything in the chat. If you're still here, if you have questions, ask, because
If you haven't-
it's now or never. I mean, who knows when we'll meet each other again?
If you didn't peace out after the demon baby sketches,
That's the
let
third
us
time
know.
now. If anyone's doing a drinking game to the cherub baby comment, you must drink now.
Tom Schmidt says, adieu, Amy and Jennifer, great stuff. Thanks for joining us, Tom. Adieu to you. Merci beaucoup for coming along.
You're so American. Merci beaucoup.
I've never been to France, can you tell? I'm trying to get there. If anyone knows anyone in France looking for some design help, let me know.
Oh my
yeah.
gosh, what am I doing?
But let's take a look at where we're at. Should we take a look at the full final proof deck that you're going to share with the client with the packaging, like all laid up?
Oh yeah. So if you all didn't know, we do a lot of, I did a little planning on this because I didn't want to like have nowhere to go and everyone be upset with us not making progress. So I did kind of have an idea on where I was going here, but I didn't have an idea of this for Ruth's idea, which the chat so kindly helped.
Amber
us
Scher has a
ideate
question.
on.
We asked for questions, so let's do it. Do you ever cold pitch, cold call clients, or do they always inquire first? So for us, we've been kind of lucky because we had such a big group, community of friends when we started our design agency that we just tapped everybody. We said, hey, remember all those times you asked me to do a logo for you and I told you I was too busy because I had a day job? Well, I'm taking on clients. So I think it's really important to tap into your community, number one. Just have friends that are doing awesome things. If you're the smartest person in the room, it's time to find other friends that are doing awesome things. But then after that, yeah, cold call. Follow people on Twitter. Twitter is amazing. I've gotten so much work off Twitter. Follow your heroes.
We were doing like the reverse process of figuring out where our favorite and best jobs came from, and it usually always came from relationships. And those relationships then kind of kept growing, and then they would reach out to us on Instagram or Twitter or on our website. But Instagrams and meeting people and respecting people who help you and thanking the people who refer you work, sending
that's
them
huge.
a percentage, sending them a little gift card. It means so much. Go to conferences, meet new people,
And get on Twitter.
Yes.
I can't stress that enough. I feel like if you can follow your heroes.
Really quick, Lindsay Palmer had a really cool idea. She said, what if you put the birth date on the left and then put the infinity on the right? I swear. Where would I be without you all?
Wow. I love that. That's awesome. That is so cool. Emily Thomas asks, what inspired you to start your own agency? This is going to sound crazy, but necessity was the mother of invention. We actually got laid off. The magazine we were working at folded. And on paper, we were unhireable. We didn't go to design school. We had apprenticed to learn. We'd only been working at a coupon clipper our whole life, so our portfolio was horrendous, which just goes to show you always have to be doing your own side projects. And so literally no one would hire us. We were unhireable on paper, and we just had to start our own business. We always wanted to, but this was kind of the thing that just made us jump in and do it, was we had to. And it was awesome. I can't believe, I don't know, it's been a crazy wild ride. It's been 9 years. It's insane.
Yeah.
Tamara Lee asks, I'm a full-time mompreneur. Mompreneur.
Yeah.
Mom plus designer. And you gals 10,000% inspire me to dive back into doing passion projects again, rebranding myself at the moment. Good luck. It's hard to do, and definitely tweet at us with progress shots if you need any feedback.
Yes.
Would love to see.
That would be really cool.
Yeah. Shout out to Kelly Freitas. She is also a fellow twin, and she reached out to us and said, hey, we'd love for you to come to Boston. She reached out to her AIGA chapter and told them, hey, can you get the hoods out here? And she made it happen. So we're going to be doing a workshop in Boston. Super fun. If you have an AIGA chapter in your area, definitely get hooked in. Maybe you have a creative mornings. Community is huge. Those options are really great. And also, if you want us to bring our FABUS workshop, our freelance and business and stuff workshop to you, reach out to your AIGA. Let them know. Let them know to hit us up. We'd love to do it.
So this is some of the final things that we have. Like I worked on the shipping box as well, which we're not spending as much money on that. So it's just a one color hit, which you always have to consider constraints. Ask your client, what are the constraints for this printing? You know, do you need to keep your costs low? Should we do one color or can you do full color printing?
Right.
You know, so for that one we kept the cost low, but you can see we planned here. I write my little notes so that when I go over it with them in person, I have my little cues
Right.
and I know what to hit. But yeah,
Your script.
this is kind of what we planned. That little note card that we put in every time we work with a client, we're always trying to think, how can we help them get this shared, get visibility, encourage user-generated content. But with this company, it's really, we have to be careful that we do it very subtly, so it doesn't sound like sleazy. Hey, share the journey, post the ashes of your loved one.
Right.
It has to be very
Tact.
So I said, if you'd like to share your loved one's new journey with the world, we'd love to see it. We're at Eternova. So that's how we solved that. So yeah.
Awesome.
And this is kind of what it looks like when you open the box. You can kind of see it. And this is all just shapes. Now, eventually I might get a custom, when I get that die line, or I might create like a mock-up that's a little bit more realistic.
Right.
But for now, this does the trick. And if you don't know how to do other things, that's what I've learned. If I don't know how to use Photoshop to do something, I'll find a way to do it in Illustrator until I can learn how to do it in
Right.
Photoshop.
Right.
It just, you kind of just have to hack
Optimize.
things together until you kind of work it out.
Definitely.
So yeah, that's what we did. Super excited you all tuned in.
Jimmy Mitchell asks, if you have a kid and another on the way, what's a good plan to get to the point of freelancing full-time and not becoming homeless? Great
man.
question.
Yeah.
And it's tough. It's tough when you have a family that relies on you to make that freelance jump. There's a lot more on you. There's a lot more on the line. But I think the key is keep your day job and build up your freelance on the side. And I know that's hard. You want to spend time with your family when you get home. The last thing you want to do is more work. But if you can build up your client base on the side, then you don't have to jump out with no net under you and just no income. You've already built up a savings and you've already built up a client roster.
And that's the goal too. Before, our goal once we first started was we just need to build up 2 months of operating expenses.
Yeah.
We made our business budget. We knew how much it would cost for us to go freelance. We just had to get 2 to 3 months saved up, which can be a lot. But you kind of figure out what's the most minimal budget you could get by with and save that up. And then okay, I have 2 to 3 months to really bang on some doors and try and get some work landed. And then I have this net to fall back on.
For sure.
So yeah.
For sure.
P.S. If you're excited about freelancing and the idea of it, but kind of scares you, don't really know the steps to take, we wrote a book about how we started.
We wrote a book, y'all.
About how we started our own business, and it also applies to whether you're starting a business with a partner or a friend or a twin, or whether you're starting it by yourself.
A lot of twin advice.
We included everything in here, worksheets, all kinds of stuff. And then we just launched a new product, which is our proposal decks that we use to land work, templates for InDesign and Keynote. If you're just sending quotes in an email and not getting a lot of feedback, or people are asking, they don't seem to value what you're showing them, it might be because you're not proving the value through a really impressive proposal deck.
Right.
So that's what this is. If you're interested in that, that's also on the shop. But anyways, thanks
Shout
so
out
much
to
for
Adrian
hanging out.
Meadows, by the way. We're Instagram friends, and he cracks me up. He's got great work. Shout out to Adam Wolf, who's been in the chat all day. He wants to know, do you guys plan on selling the book on Amazon? For us, we're not going to. We self-publish. That just made sense to us. And so we just sell it straight through our site so we can get all the profits for ourselves. Because Amazon takes a lot.
Amazon really cut
Yeah.
you deep, and it's it does cost a lot to make
And
these.
we don't have a publisher, so we take that hit. So, yeah.
Yeah. So we're kind of keeping it, but we're gonna sell through some bookstores eventually. So, but if you want to keep hanging out and ask any more questions, we're also at on Instagram. Instagram, it's kind of easy to get lost in the comments. So reach out to us on Twitter too. Amy's
We're on all
way
the
better
socials.
about being on Twitter
We're
than
on
I
all
am.
the socials. Voodoo Val says very true words. I did things the hard way, quitting my regular job and then going freelance. I was saved only by my family who believed in me. The process was very hard. 0 for 10 would not recommend. I always tell everyone, I'm you don't have to do all or nothing. I know it feels like if I don't just jump out, I won't do anything. But start telling people what you want and start letting your friends hold you accountable. Start saying, I'm gonna start taking on freelance work. And then when your friend next sees you, they're gonna say, hey, how's the freelance thing going? And then you'll be embarrassed because you didn't do anything. And then the next time you see them, you'll have done something.
Exactly.
Peer pressure works in a good way sometimes.
Yes, totally.
So let your friends and family hold you accountable. Jen and I do that all the time. I'll say something online just so I'll make sure that I do it. I'll say, I'm gonna start posting a GIF every day in dedication to the NBA. And then my friends will say, hey, where's the GIF? What are we doing? So it works out.
Totally.
Lance Swanson asked, did I miss the portfolio review? Lance, you did, but I think they're going to be doing it again next week, so stay tuned.
And also next segment, Christina Cox is going to probably do
That's
it
right,
at the
she
end of her
probably do some.
segment. Yes,
That's
so
right.
it's still time to submit if you want to submit, and then maybe it'll be chosen for Christina's segment.
Awesome.
Who is coming up next. She's going to be continuing to do her postcard series. You should definitely tune in. It's going to be a fun one.
And Mike Schamberg said, the PDF of the book makes it easy to get it anywhere. That's true. We ship everywhere in the world, but shipping is really expensive.
It's crazy expensive.
So, yeah, so if you want the book, but you don't live in America, and it's too expensive to ship, we have an ebook. It's only $10. It's an e-download. $10 isn't a lot when you think about all of the information that you can use to make mad money, hopefully, up your hourly rate, up your project rate. It's pretty fun.
Anyways, great talking to you all.
Great talking
You've
to
been
you
an amazing
all.
group. I'll miss you when I never
We'll
see you
miss
again.
you.
But I'm going to jump into live chat now from more regularly.
Right?
It's
I know.
too fun.
It's too fun. It's too fun. So we'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Should we do the Sound of Music? So long, farewell. I feel like we're taking Andrew's thing. I don't know.